purposes of the open meeting law, the board states for the record that this meeting is being recorded by NORCAM and may be recorded by other local media. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So our first order of business this evening is to welcome a new employee to the town of North Reading, the Director of Veteran Services, and Mr. Gilberto.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Pleased to welcome Chris to join us here as our new Veteran Services Director. He began his time with us this morning. Happy to have him here. You want to come forward just for a second? Chris, that'd be great. You can probably just take a seat right there.
Okay.
We're not going to grill you or anything like that.
Please do. Get some seasoning on it, all right?
Well, you're starting off with the first day, you have to come to a board meeting.
I'm going to butcher your last name, so say it.
Thoman.
Thoman.
Yeah, you can call me whatever you want. I've been called way worse than that, so.
Lil remind me was Thoman,
Yes,
not Thoman.
Thoman, yes, very well.
Christopher Thoman, who comes to us by way of combination of military service, right?
Yes,
Most
sir.
recently in the National Guard.
Reserves. So I did 12 years active duty and finished out 8 years in the reserves and retired, so. It's a new beard, so. First time.
First time? You were clean shaven before.
Yep, so this is the longest my hair's been in 20 years, so. Getting used to it.
We were pleased to have a strong candidate pool for the position. For those who don't know, in order to be a Veteran Services Director in a city or town in Massachusetts, you need to be a veteran. So that does narrow the field that we can select from. We had two very well qualified candidates who the Veterans Events Committee had a representative meet with along with Human Resources. And I think we were all in agreement that Chris would be the best fit for our community. One of the things that really struck me was his work, integral in the military, working with military families and service persons who were retiring, coming into civilian life. And I think that's a big part of what we've learned over the years from both Ms. Magner and from Mr. Tedeschi. It's a big part of the role. So that was really what kind of drew me to you. Really glad to have you here. We've talked a lot about the financial struggles that the town is dealing with right now and how we're really trying to do our best for our veterans. We've had a strong veterans benefit program that's been affected by enrollment over the years in terms of people as they pass away, they come off the rolls, and maybe the numbers are a bit smaller, but we have a very active group of veterans from different wars now who TJ has, I think, really mobilized, and I know they look forward to working with you.
Yes, sir, I do too. It's been fun.
And of course, Catherine's great support in the office as well.
Yes,
So,
sir.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome very much. So I just want to say, over the past several years, there's been a tremendous amount of outreach through the Veteran Services Office here, and we expect that it would continue. Not so much as it happened in other communities that we've seen, and even before here in North Reading, we didn't do all that we could do before, because it does have a financial impact on the community. So it was like, as people come to us, we'll certainly assist them and all the rest. But the last two Veteran Services directors that we've had were extremely active and visible, and did a significant amount of outreach, which increased the numbers of veterans as we were able to engage and assist them in getting the benefits that they're entitled to. So we know you have a challenge ahead of you for sure. You have our support, I'm sure. But I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think I do. You'll have our support. Particularly in light of what's happening at the federal level, the VA is cutting back. I know we're supposed to be applauding the fact that it's only 30,000 instead of 80,000 people. Yeah, 80,000, which defies logic.
Yes.
And now they've backtracked down to 30,000 employees that they're looking to purge from the roles there that have direct contact with our veterans. So the needs are going to be felt even more here at the local level, and you're going to have your hands full. And where the funds are going to come forward to assist them, we had hoped the federal government would continue to do what they were doing, but we don't know what the future holds. So you have your work cut out for you. You do have the support of the board, and
Appreciate that.
we look forward to assisting you, and don't be shy in vocalizing your interactions with the local veterans and what the needs are going to be. because we want to hear it. You know,
Yeah,
we
for
wanna hear
sure.
it. And we can't guarantee what we can do, but we'll try.
And that's all we can ask for, right? I'm big on the philosophy of get to know people at their best, because if they know you at your best, they'll more eager to come to you when they're not at their worst, at their worst. So kind of understanding where they're coming from, and then, like you said, they might be more willing to tell you what their actual needs are versus a surface thing. So I agree.
Yeah, so, and again, having family members that are veterans and
Mhm.
veterans in need, I have family members who have taken advantage of the services and still need services. There's a great appreciation from a personal level, but again, generally, the community, the outreach has been terrific. We expect it to continue, and we wish you nothing but good luck.
Thanks, sir.
My fellow board members, this is,
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's great to have you, and it's great to have a very short amount of time when we didn't have directors. So I think, as Steve said, your arrival has been very anticipated, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Mr. Studo.
Same, I agree. I think it's a very important role that left vacant. You don't know how many things have not got done, right? It's not, it's not like people, but you just, so that's what's important, because you don't, there's a lot more than just a director, of course, it helps, but it's just, sometimes when the leadership's not there, things fall within the cracks, so welcome.
Thank you. Thanks.
And Mr. Massey, if you haven't met him yet,
Yes,
the
sir.
liaison,
Yeah.
good.
Good meeting you, Chris.
You too.
I got a lot of work ahead of us, but I look forward to working with you. As mentioned, I'm the liaison to the Veterans Events Committee, so I'll be coming to some meetings coming up, and I'll be working with you. But
Look forward
welcome
to it.
aboard, and yeah, like they said, the veterans are active in this town. As long as you're an ear to listen to them,
Oh, yeah.
they'll appreciate you.
Thank you. Nice.
And you don't have to spend the whole evening with us. You don't have to.
He has a young child at home too, so.
Oh, you do?
Yes, sir.
So,
Almost 2. He'll be 2 in November, so
oh,
got to run
congratulations.
home and then get him from daycare. He decided to cover himself with green marker today, so he's a little hulking out. And I got him to do the pose, so I was thrilled. Yeah, then I threw him in the tub and got him up, so Mom would be happy.
Okay. Well, listen, again, welcome aboard,
Thank
and
you for
again,
having
anything
me.
we can do to assist, don't be shy. Let us know, and dismissed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks,
evening.
Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Next order of business is to vote to proclaim Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Again, North Reading goes purple, spearheaded by Laura. Is Laura? Okay, Laura, you just want to come up and give us the pitch, and then we'll read the proclamation and take a vote.
Absolutely, thank you. Thanks so much.
Feel free to introduce your cohorts.
Thank you. As you said, my name is Laura Pilkington, and joined with me today is Claudette Thompson and Melissa Austin. We are volunteers with the Alzheimer's Association, and we're all residents of North Reading. I actually grew up in North Reading, and I found myself moving back here about 2 years ago after my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And I got involved with the association because they are just a tremendous support. They are the biggest nonprofit funder in the world for Alzheimer's research and development and support to caregivers. And they've just been such a great resource, and we felt as North Reading residents and as volunteers for the association, it would be wonderful to partner with the town. Statistically, a scary statistic, 1 in 3 Americans over the age of 65 will die with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. So it makes me think that there's a lot of community members who might not know about the association or know about the resources that they offer. So we would love to partner with the town. We've talked with the Senior Center, and they're willing to coordinate some events with us throughout the week, educational events for citizens in town, free of charge. All of the Alzheimer's Association supports are free to the community. So it's just an invaluable resource, and we're hoping the town will partner with us on this.
Well, I know that you've reached out to the town administrator as far as doing a little decorating at the gazebo, and given the authorization and permit to do so for the month, which is terrific. And but Mrs. Martin, you have a proclamation to read, so why don't we make a motion first
Yep.
to so proclaim, and then you can read the proclamation.
Mr. Chairman, I move to proclaim September 2025 as Alzheimer's Awareness Month in North Reading and to read the associated proclamation.
Second.
Second by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Mr. Massey? Any discussion? Mr. Studo?
I think this is great, just because it's very, especially in the early stages. I mean, we don't have the key to reverse, but you can dramatically slow down. And hopefully in doing that, people just hit natural life expectancy, give or take, right when the worst of the symptoms start coming, where, for lack of a better way to put it, something else may take you out anyways. So, no, I think it's great, and the more people know, especially the more people know my age who have aging parents, you know, you spend more time with anybody else, you notice if somebody, after decades, starts acting differently. It's like, you know, you just catch it, and then you're like, all right, and then you see it a second time. So no, it's great, you know, what we do here, and any awareness, because I think just like a lot of things, it's just, with past generations, just it then comes down to just people, a whole generation, maybe a half ago, just weren't living long enough for this to develop. Something else, so, but now we're seeing it more, so this is great. So.
Mr. Massey?
Just ditto to what Mr. Stewart said. He put it much more eloquently than I can, but certainly appreciate what you guys are putting together, and I think it's a great cause. Happy to support it.
Thank you.
Mrs. Moran?
I agree entirely with what Mr. Studo said, and having had family members who have succumbed to Alzheimer's, I definitely agree that the more research and awareness people can have and know what to look for, I think it's great to have resources within the community that can help you understand what someone is going through and what to do and what not to do, because oftentimes there's such a battle of wills between the family members, and family dynamics change a lot. So I think having resources is very important, and thank you for stepping up and doing this.
And again, first of all, your being here is important. It's great. I'm glad you stepped forward and to, again, raise the awareness. And, you know, like other people here at the table and in the community, you know, my family has been affected by this. And again, not just the individuals, but also the caregivers is huge. The resources that the organization provides, resources are, again, fantastic. And, you know, living through now, the assistance is immeasurable. So it's anything we can do to assist in raising the awareness, we're here to do. And that being said, when we read the proclamation, then we'll vote.
Town of North Reading, Alzheimer's Awareness Month Proclamation, September 2025. Whereas Alzheimer's disease is a progressive neurological condition that affects memory, thinking, and behavior, and is the most common form of dementia, impacting more than 6 million Americans, including many residents of North Reading and their families. And whereas the effects of Alzheimer's disease extend beyond the individual, placing emotional, physical, and financial burdens on caregivers, families, and communities. And whereas early detection and diagnosis of Alzheimer's can lead to improved outcomes, access to support services, and better planning for those affected. And whereas the town of North Reading recognizes the importance of raising awareness, supporting research, and providing resources to individuals and families impacted by Alzheimer's disease. And whereas September is internationally recognized as Alzheimer's Awareness Month, a time to honor those living with the disease, support caregivers, and promote education and advocacy efforts. And whereas local organizations, healthcare providers, and volunteers in North Reading continue to work tirelessly to provide care, raise awareness, and advance the search for a cure. Now therefore, I, Stephen O'Leary, Chair of the North Reading Select Board, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2025 as Alzheimer's Awareness Month in the town of North Reading, and encourage all residents to learn more about Alzheimer's disease, support those affected, and participate in efforts to promote brain health and compassionate care.
On the main motion, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. And
Thank you.
thanks for the little trinkets here. I suppose these will be handed out over the next month or so in different
Yes,
venues.
that and
As far
much
as
more.
bookmarks, these are 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's and a 24/7 hotline. Again, appreciate your efforts and your outreach.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it very much. All right, board member reports, all the new business. Mr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Got a few things, we'll end with the more important ones. I'll start off, the Real Senior Prom will be held on Tuesday, September 30th from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Wakefield Elks. Feel free to make donations to this group. There's a few local resident organizers who are grabbing some donations, and they're very close to their goal if they haven't hit it already. I was happy to donate. Mr. O'Leary, I saw you and your family donate. Thank you. But these volunteers deserve all the thanks for their work and the memories that they're creating for our seniors. Friends of Veterans. So the group is created for Friends of Veterans, which will be almost a subcommittee to the Veterans Events Committee. Facebook page has been launched. It's been sent out to the community via Facebook. We'll be using that to garner membership, community outreach, collecting donations, etc. We will be having a meeting on Tuesday, September 16th that will follow right after the Veterans Events Committee meeting, which starts at 4:30 p.m. in room 5 of Town Hall. There will be a fundraiser hosted by CPC member Jeff Griffin and his family, which will be on Thursday, September 18th at 6 o'clock p.m. at Prince Pizza in Saugus, Mass. This is a comedy show, so come on down for some laughs and buy a ticket to support our veterans and the Veterans Department in town. I want to touch about Facilities Master Plan. We're going to hear today. We can talk about it then. Main update here is about the Fire Station Building Committee. We have launched a land search subcommittee of that Fire Station Building Committee. The few of us that met, maybe a handful of us who met, including the Chief, Dave Rudloff, DPW, and we're focusing, in my opinion, we appear to be focusing on more of private land on Main Street. Obviously, town doesn't have too much property on Main Street. Around it, we do. We certainly did do our due diligence on some town property with Mullen Field and the Town Hall property, but ultimately seems to be a consensus of private land. Those private lands that we are looking upon are 84, 86, 160, and 290 Main Street, which have been shortlisted to continue pursuing. Now, of course, I'm coming to this board as the select board. We need to guide the administration or request the administration to start contacting those owners of those properties to see what it would be worth. Looking into the Town Hall property was a little bit interesting as to what the Town Hall property is made of and what could be, and I'm certainly talking about some folks on the Facilities Master Plan who are potentially considering that this would be a great property for an intergenerational or senior center. We know Town Hall is right around the corner and that could be involved. But as far as the Fire Station Building Committee with the land search, the question came up about eminent domain. Now, I speak as one of 5 select board members, and I speak of one of 12 Fire Station Building Committee members, and I speak of one of 5 subcommittee members. So, personally, I'm never for it, but for emergency purposes, I could certainly be in favor of it. There's been the past in North Reading eminent domain for things like walking paths, which I would not be in favor of. I would not be in favor of eminent domain for a town hall. But for emergency purposes, we need to service our people, and we cannot be handcuffed by what's in town. We need to, in my opinion, the committee, I would say, has a consensus about considering that path, and I would suggest that the select board take that recommendation, see where it goes. But ultimately, we need to serve our people. This is what the data shows, and it is for emergency purposes, which I would be in favor of. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Studo?
Everything that I'm liaison to starts getting going this month. First one is the next ZBA meeting for the 20 Elm is next Thursday at 6. The modified application from Trumbull Corp. And, well, at this point, them. I mean, and the Mr. Diaba. So we will see what they present. And I believe that that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gilberto, however, after the formal application has been submitted, that is when that timeline we discussed starts going, the 9 months.
That's correct.
Rough.
It was, I believe, submitted last Monday, I think.
Yeah. So, other than that, there's some other things with
6 months.
6 months. 6 months,
Yeah.
which is a lot.
assuming no delays.
Well, there's always delay. but
There's always a delay, so they took the liberty of adding 3 months, which would not be out of the question. So, and then, other than that, there's some other things coming in the committees, but I'll have more to report in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Mrs. Moran?
The search for youth services director continues. I think we've had a few candidates that have been interviewed. The goal is to have someone in place as soon as possible, with the school year starting soon, tomorrow. The community impact team has met several times, and in conjunction with the health board, they're having informational hearings about the future generation. And the council on aging meeting, I think we've talked about it in the previous meeting. We're looking for potential space to rent to replace the inadequate facilities for the senior center.
And again, I just want to reiterate, as far as the Mobile Home Rent Control Board, they will be meeting again later on this month to deliberate as far as their recommendation, to close the public hearing portion of the meeting for input. They're just now gathering all the information, putting it down on paper, and they'll be making a formal recommendation to this board, I'm assuming within the next 3 weeks or so, and then there's a timeline where we have to act on it. So, again, it's this board that makes that determination as to whether or not the application for discontinuance is approved or not. They will be offering the recommendation. And again, they have done a terrific job of vetting the issues, allowing the applicant to respond to the concerns of the residents that live there, and offering them opportunities to give those residents some certainty as to what they can look forward to or not. And we'll see how it comes out, what the recommendation is, but it's forthcoming. The other thing is I have just a letter of acknowledgement from KP Law, thanking the board members publicly for their reappointment, and we look forward to continuing to service. So I'll circulate a copy of this to all the members of the board. And I'd also like to just mention the passing of Molly Whitney. For those who've been in the community for any length of time, they know Molly well. Molly was a volunteer within the community in a whole host of things, but Historical Antiquarian Society, she was always dressed up in her period garb, entertaining the children in the community, and recognizing the historical value of our past and seeing how it plays into the present. She's again volunteered in a whole host of things, but she's also the wife of Tony Whitney, who was a former member of this board for a number of years. Again, as a family member, they're making a significant amount of sacrifices and offering her services, but also the services of her husband, Tony. Raised her children here, lived on Haven Street for a number of years, and just a fantastic member of the community. It's a tremendous loss. We grieve with the family, and we appreciate all the good times and services that Molly presented to the community. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Other than that, we're all set. Everybody else set? Open room? Good. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in regards to the fire station building committee, understanding constraints with schedule within town meetings, of course, the fire station building committee is going to be moving pretty rapid. We're about to be signing the contract with the architect and moving forward. first thing they're gonna ask for is North Reading, what land do you got? Now, we're going through those exercises, but I'm just wondering, what is our action here? My task was to bring it back to the select board to ultimately guide the administration on this task. Is that all I needed to ask, and that can get done, or and the wheels will get in motion, or?
I think at some point, if the, what's the subcommittee labeled? How do you-
Land search?
Land Search Committee, subcommittee of the Fire Station Building Committee, is doing a vetting process, and I know the town administrator needs to be intimately involved with it, and is intimately involved with it. At some point, I would imagine that you would bring forth some sort of a recommendation to this board for consideration, and at that point, it would take some town meeting action to acquire property. So, whatever that takes and whatever the timeline associated with it, and again, as we discuss the different parcels, the pros and cons, and then the willingness of willing buyers, willing sellers.
Luckily, we do have some willing.
Pardon me?
Luckily, we do have some willing, so
Yeah, I'm
there's
sure.
definitely been some preliminary contact, and
Then it only comes down to cost.
what I'd hate to do is, I've seen it before in this town, what I'd hate to do is get the wheels in motion, people are ready to go, and we can't pull the trigger. And I want to make sure we have the ammunition, or at least a plan, that when that comes, that North Reading's ready to jump, if a seller's ready to sell.
Well, I can assure you, the wheels of government do not turn quickly. And again, we've been in this situation.
That's under you,
a
that's under
number-
your leadership,
Okay. No, just in general, because what happens is, we're constrained, we meaning the town as an entity is constrained as to how quickly we can act on things and what we can actually authorize as a board, but when it comes to it, it's gonna be town meeting. And again, if we have a plan and a location, things of that nature, then it's up to this board as to whether or not we call a special town meeting or not to do it. Other than that, it's, see what the timeline is, see, and again, the sellers of the property need to be made aware of that, it takes time for us to put the machinations in place here to execute any type of agreement. So, if they're sitting on it now, and as I know one of these properties has been sitting there for years, never appears to be in a hurry. But other ones, might be. If that's the case, they just need to be made aware that it takes us some time, and if they're really willing to sit down and negotiate, and it's a suitable location, then this board will consider it and we'll move forward on it. But
Thank you.
it shouldn't delay the discussion, and shouldn't delay the search.
Understood. I'll report back.
But I'd be happy to talk offline with you as to how slowly it takes and how painful it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks. If you don't mind doing that.
All right. Department of Public Works, construction project update. Thank you for being here, Joe and Dan, for doing that, because there's a lot of interest, not just in the board, but in the community.
No,
Okay.
but we can make it work off of that computer, for sure.
I'll take this guy, okay.
Chris, you really don't have to stay.
I'll have to close it.
Great.
This is great, okay.
I'm just trying to take it all in, and, my first time seeing something like this, it's kind of cool.
Oh, really? Yeah. When you hear it at 11:30 at night with us, you won't think it's that cool. Yeah, actually, hopefully tonight won't be too bad.
Sure.
So as the board is aware, and the public's aware, we have a number of ongoing projects here that go on for, some of them for a significant length of time, and undertaking some other projects, so we really appreciate Joe, you and Dan coming tonight and just filling us in as to what's
You're right.
happening and what the timeline looks like and what's caused some of the delays associated with particular bridge projects and those things, so appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Dan O'Donnell, the town engineer. Joe Parisi next to me, DPW director. I'm just going to go through a few of these slides just to update everyone on, some of our bigger projects. I didn't include the paving, but if anyone has any questions about that, I think it's going pretty well right now.
Hopefully, it's finally happening in my neighborhood, first time in about 37 years, so it's, yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, I'll go through these. We can ask questions at the end, or if anyone wants to interrupt me, feel free. So I'll start off with the bridges. We have the Park Street Bridge over Martins Brook. Final concrete pours of the bridge were completed this past Friday, and the bridge railings are scheduled for this Friday, which alongside with that will be a National Grid meeting, which we request to be on site this time, usually we do a team meeting. This is to discuss the new gas main installation. It was cut and capped between May 2nd and May 7th. Then Kodiak Corporation came in to actually begin construction. They had to wait until they were finished cutting and capping. National Grid's anticipating 20 days to complete the work. Previously discussed a start date around early September. I put that in quotes because I know we are in early September. So more to follow out of Friday's meeting. Contractor Kodiak, they will be able to work alongside National Grid, which they'll be preparing for the final paving of the project. We do anticipate that the bridge will be open, we mentioned late September, if not in early October. And it really all depends on how long it takes National Grid to finish installing the gas main inside the bridge. I do know that in my original notice, Kodiak verbally communicated to me a 2-month construction timeframe. It has since taken longer than anticipated. The contract deadline for completion was October 15th, but it sounded a little optimistic that it would only be a few months. A lot of that has to do with the agreements with National Grid, getting them out there, and by the time they got really the wheels in motion, it was already almost June, and now it's September, so that's where we're at now. That's just a picture of the bridge. It does look a little different now with the police photo. Maybe we can stop and take questions there.
Could I just jump, just something to add
Oh,
to
yes.
with the National Grid component of this. We were faced with the decision of whether to go forward with the full bypass of the utility around the bridge, or the option of basically cutting the cap. The full bypass was at, I think, $250,000+ more, $350 more, by starting the project earlier in the construction season in April, rather than waiting for school to be out, which I've gotten a lot of questions on. And then ending it before the heating season begins, will avoid that cost. So I know some folks were frustrated with the timeline. We're hoping for July, August construction only with that original 2-month timeline. But by starting earlier, and unfortunately it did take a little bit longer, it did come as a savings for the town in terms of cost avoidance. And on top of that, I think more mentioned the town did receive a $500,000 small bridge grant from the Commonwealth. We were trying to time that project with that notice. The notice came a little bit later than we were expecting. We had to begin the project before we had the funds in hand, but we believe we're going to be able to coordinate the construction, the invoicing, and the contract term all together to maximize that. At least that's the last I heard. Right?
Yep, correct.
So we're going to work hard to try to continue to make that happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important to stress that, state funding didn't come through for us, which was great, but the coordination to make it work and maximize it, kudos to you in getting it done. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We're still actively coordinating, to be clear.
Yeah, I told you.
The check hasn't cleared yet.
Do we, so we cut and capped at each end of the bridge?
Correct. With the valves on
So
each
separate services too?
Yeah, it's only a few hundred feet, so I really don't see why it wouldn't take, I don't want to open my mouth and
Yeah.
say it'll take 3 days.
They always say, well, that's good.
Working with National Grid's been a challenge, let's just say that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's not like Reading Municipal. It's
Any other questions on Park Street Bridge?
no, just want to say that. Oh, you got more?
Oh, yeah, we've got more.
Oh, sorry.
There's more.
All right,
Thank
Chestnut Street.
you.
So the Chestnut Street Bridge, just a little backstory, was bid on January 23rd and was awarded to the same contractor, Kodiak Corporation. On February 5th, 2025, plans to start in the spring. Prior to Kodiak's work, National Grid was required to bypass their gas onto a temporary bridge which would span the Ipswich River away from where the culverts exist so they can complete their work. There was many delays with the internal design approval with National Grid themselves and the permitting with the Department of Public Utilities. They really just prolonged Kodiak's start date, all throughout the winter into the spring. And then on 7/30, recently, National Grid subcontractor who was mobilized on site, they completed their temporary gas bypass onto the temporary bridge on August 21st. So that, I think that's roughly 22 days for that, which is a little bit bigger of a project than the Park Street Bridge. Kodiak mobilized site the next day. They were out there, mobilized a crane out there and they were still shooting operation for culvert removal, shown before down below. And really due to its delays, the project is now anticipated to continue through the winter. And we're seeing it being moved to the spring of 2026 just due to temperature restrictions, freezing, concrete pouring, and drought material. Unfortunately, where we're at right now, Kodiak is to submit a formal extension for completion. Their date is also October 15th. Under the impression that we're all simultaneously going to be working starting in the spring.
That was their goal, they would have their crews here.
Yeah, and we were talking with National Grid since
Those discussions started,
right after I was hired. Yeah. The other designs and the TEC was communication line. There were two role changes within National Grid, no responses from one person. And we got to regroup in, so I know that I was moving on. And then design internally grid to go on.
And yet we still anticipate, not on time, but on budget.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, there hasn't been anything unusual. Any change orders, it's just a matter of waiting to get a National Grid to do
So Chestnut Street Bridge, no time in spring 2026. So everybody wants to know. Any other further questions on Chestnut Street Bridge? No, all right, thank you. Next.
Burroughs Road. And you know, we have three culverts together with another culvert that was built after the fact alongside there. We had a few sinkholes happen. Mass DOT went out, they inspected it. We rated it before. Our DPW crews made grade repairs, and they saw that with the underwater inspection. We did get appropriation in place. We have in place now for any repairs needed to these culverts. We met with engineering consultants recently, TEC, to determine what temporary measures may be needed for, if you will, a more permanent temporary solution. And they're also going to provide us with a proposal to develop a scope of work for bridge type selection and final design of a new structure. We also contracted with Bay Colony Group this past year to conduct the H&H analysis, which Mass DOT really wanted to be done with the culverts that are currently undersized. So they are just finishing that up now. I believe the gentleman I'm working with, he's away right now, but returning I think this week. And I think we'll have the draft ready for us to review internally. DPW, TEC, and Bay Colony Group. We're going to coordinate a meeting with Mass DOT for discussions on what they may be looking for. So we decide to do a more permanent temporary repair until final design. For a contract with TEC or another engineer firm.
I think just to sum that up, it's going to take a little while to get through the whole process of replacement bridge there, because those three culverts side by side do constitute a bridge because of the span of those three culverts. So So, we'll be going through a similar process that we did with the Chestnut Street Bridge, where we'll look at different options for replacing those culverts with a bridge. But, within that period of time, we want to make sure that conditions are safe going over those three culverts as they remain in place. So we're going to meet with Mass DOT to talk about that situation. TEC's been already considering, different options we may have. I think we have some poor soil conditions, on either side of those culverts that we'll have to see if that will sort of change what we were thinking about a temporary solution, but it's an ongoing situation where we need to have more information to report about.
And again, as far as the impact of new bridge versus repair the culverts and all the rest, impact downstream is still up for debate in relation to impact on other communities and what the state has to say. And
I think that's part of what we'll be bringing to the meeting with Mass DOT. The study that we had conducted will be looked at and sort of, I think, try to coordinate what Wilmington is doing downstream as well, to make sure everything makes sense. There's no great impacts to, change in water elevation in Martin's Pond, or any, too much flow going downstream to the bridge in Wilmington.
And as far as costs associated, I think it's important for the board and the community to know that, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for temporary repairs and millions, potentially, for replacement.
That is correct. So really, the question is, of the repairs that we've done so far, or even continuing to use that type of repair, as opposed to doing something greater, is there any value in it or need to do a greater level of technical repair? So we're going to evaluate that, make sure that, we understand what the conditions are, what we can do, what we can't do, and come up with the best decision for as we wait for design and construction.
And the timeline associated with temporary versus permanent, what are we talking about for a timeline?
Based off of Chestnut Street, for example, a year design, if there is national grid gas, this, we go for the same, agreement with them, their design, permitting.
Yeah, I think you could say about 2 years.
Before you get,
Do you get
before you can get anything really going.
right?
Yeah, so a couple of years out, lead time, temporary repairs, but the public works department's done a terrific job, and the state has basically been blessings to what's been done to date, which is great, so it's safe to traverse the area. That's just for one's purposes of the general public, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of temporary repairs,
That's right.
potentially $2-3 million if the solution is the bridge. Right?
That is correct.
It's massive.
The 4 that they rated us, is that a 4 out of 10 or 4 out of 5?
I believe it's a 4 out of 10. I've never seen it 10 so far. This is brand new. I think it goes right to a 9 after a year or two. Yes.
Well, these are, first of all, thank you for your work. Certainly appreciate how you guys are doing and how coordinating. You guys got a lot of stuff you're juggling right now, so I appreciate you diving into all these. These are huge infrastructure upgrades for North Reading, so this is a positive sign for the future, especially over our bodies of water. But you two must be getting such an education out of building over wetlands. I mean, very similar projects back to back, so pretty funny. But take your lessons learned, bring them to the next one.
Sure.
Next.
Downtown sewer. The contract was awarded to Edgar East and Sons. They've begun, as you draw, some GMC downtown. Going from the North Reading High School wastewater treatment plant. They started on August 22nd, and very quickly after, created about 800 feet down around the driveway through the back shelter, which is field. So they're about 75% done for the low pressure system. Properties continues to work to follow the low pressure gravity sewer, which will go down the left side driveway to the police department. And then the gravity sewer, we still have to construct along Park Street and up Bow Street, which we're going to connect the road on corner, Raven Tavern, So phase one of the project is on schedule to be completed by December contractor, December 12th. December 12th, and then the final paving and all work related to the rest of us rebranding costs will be next year during the summertime. So we have to be back in September. I think we've really got any issues that are coordinated, great communication with both superintendents, police department. And we're all cleaned up for tomorrow in school. That's really sitting right down here.
But as far as, time on budget, again, we were very fortunate to secure federal funding through the efforts of Bolton and Senators Markey and Warren to the tune of 1.5 million for the $1.9 million project. What was the bid on the final bid on the project?
1.457.
1.457.
There is a 20% local match,
Right.
to their 80%. But any funds that we don't spend from the grant is still available to us for other water and wastewater projects.
Oh, that's great.
We're extremely fortunate that that got put in several months ago and pretty secure, so which is great. A lot of balls in the air here as far as federal funding, I think. So we're extremely, again, grateful to Congressman Bolton and Senators Warren and Markey for their efforts in taking this on. And again, this is a legacy project as far as tying in all of our septic systems now to the wastewater treatment plant that we built for the middle school, high school. And we built that with the capacity to take this on, and it's great that we were able to do it. So the town voted to put the money up and do it, and this board voted to do some ARPA funds to do it. Again, we got the federal funding to do it, which is even better. So, terrific. Next. Intersections.
Havel Street, Chestnut Street signalization project. It's currently reached its 30-day fine-tuning period. It's been successfully running with no issues that come across my desk. TECs to provide a written statement certifying this. I'm still waiting on. Project's anticipated to close out this month. Just a side note to North Reading Garden Club. Is in contracts, or I'm not sure if they're in contracts yet, but with the landscaping company for the maintenance of that new open space, because we can close out the intersections to separate Chestnut Street East from this one. So that, I know it looks a little weedy right now, but I'd like to know it will be maintained. Been staying on top of it as much as I can, so keep in contact with the garden club.
Does that include the water?
Yeah, it does, and I can have that in that plan too, if I need on site.
The veterans- It's been put back in, correct?
It's back in there, yep. I think we can do something nice around. Close.
Thank you. And then just in relation to the intersection and the alignment of, there's still some confusion that I'm hearing from the public, and even myself when I was driving up and down Havel Street, there's two sets of lights, and one appears to be not working, but it is.
Yeah, so
You
that
gotta just
was-
explain the configuration and how that's supposed to work, or can you?
I can, it's been a few weeks since I spoke with the resident about it, so it's,
It's not just one resident, I've heard from quite a few.
so the two sets of lights on Havel Street, if you're coming from Reading over to the center of town. The second set of lights is due to the distance between Chestnut Street westbound and Chestnut Street eastbound. It's essentially two separate intersections, so that people coming from Moynihan and going towards Linfield and taking that left, they technically should have another set of lights to see if it's green, yellow, or red. It's supposed to show green, which it does, but it's covered up with this special tape. because I spoke with the police department and they didn't feel comfortable. They thought that people on Haverhill Street were seeing that second set lights, which you're not supposed to. I went by at night and every time I did, it was flashing. So I never did get to see with my own eyes before they put the tape over at nighttime. So that's where we're at, and the police, the chief said that, yes, I think that's the safest way to leave it right now, so that's where we are.
So it was a safety measure, so as not cause confusion as to, seeing that other light. I think there was a case where there was a car coming down from a northern section of England, and seeing that and going through the intersection. And so some adjustments were made so that you don't see it, and it just appears, like you said, that it's not working. But it's working properly for the other street companies in the intersection.
Right, so anybody who's paying attention and listening is that, it's designed so that, it appears as though there's two sets of lights, and there are, but only one set of lights for you.
Yep.
The other one is for someone else.
Yep.
And they're seeing it clearly and they're coordinated so that people can
That's
traverse the
right.
intersection safely. And because of the distance between where Chestnut Street and Haverhill Street now intersect, with the offset is, that's so significant, it required the second set.
And quite a middle set lights.
And then when cars get the green light from eastbound traveling onto Haverhill Street westbound, that is red. So the cars on the westbound side of the city.
Very good, all right. Any questions on just that Haverhill Street? Okay.
North and Central project is complete, although we are, speaking about additional measures being considered based off of some of the recent press reports. We recently reviewed it with the police chief, town administrator, DPW director, and myself. So put it on I did forget to include that. My apologies. I ordered additional signage for underneath all 4 stop signs that are on Central Street. So it'll say stop, and then there'll be a big white sign that says to oncoming traffic. We've done as much as we can as far as, lights and things. It's, unless we want to start from tonight, or
Talking with Chief Zimmerman today, there was an actual police cruiser that was recently in an accident with a car that just didn't stop through the intersection. So it appears it could be a case where there are cars will be going to Andover that are unfamiliar with that road and just going through it. When you see flashing stoplights, you would think you would stop, but it doesn't appear to be the case in a number of these accidents. We don't think that it's speed coming down or on Mill Street. We just think it's just, for the most part, a lot of experience with that intersection and going through the stop sign. Intentionally, of course, but that's what seems to be happening. So, we're going to add some additional signs to try to get the attention of any driver that we should stop that intersection, that North Street is basically a through lane, no stop, four-way stop there. So we've got some signs that curling over.
yeah, and we have the message board in the interim saying, North Street traffic does not stop. And I think there was 2 accidents from that side. I mean, it was just the police cruiser on the tree. The police cruiser, yeah.
You guys have certainly done a lot at that intersection to try and educate people. I hear nightmares all the time, and then I go through that intersection. I go east, west, north, south, and it's lit up with signage. And you guys are doing a good job, and you're taking the complaints as you can. You're ordering some additional. That's great. The more you can.
Yeah, Mr. Studo.
Also, one thing to say about that one, right? The solution that would work would require money that this town would never authorize to actually lower the grading of the hill, right? That's what you see online. Why can't we just do that? I couldn't get an authorization from town meeting for a pack of hot dogs. Nevertheless, 10 to 15 million it would take to make that hill more kind of flat on the North Street. right? So I think that, I just wanted to mention that it is a solution, but it's a very expensive one, right? It just that, I think online, people make it seem like we're just not exploring it because we just don't want it, which is not, you know, so if you're ever not busy, which is never the case, if you could actually get us a figure, I like that posted next time as a response, because it is true. Like, there's this idea that it's like, oh, it's easy, we can just flatten the hill. Oh, that's it?
Yeah, flattening the hill is a wild idea. It's people's properties there.
Yeah, we might have to buy those 4 pieces.
I mean, it's crazy.
We wouldn't have a driveway.
But I just think that, again,
Teach them how to drive.
yeah, but again, I just wanted to mention that because that's the one I see the most, and I understand because it does seem like it's a simple solution to a very complex issue. Expensive, to say the least. Talk about eminent domain, so I just wanted to point that out, because it does get put a lot, like, why can't we just make it not as steep?
We're seeing a lot of accidents, according to the police department, that driver error from Central Street tends to be the issue. So, I mean,
Taking the hook in the left.
Yeah.
you know, going straight through the
Going straight
intersection,
through.
looking left, whatever the case may be, but it's a driver error issue, not necessarily line of sight.
And if, you know, I know there's also been suggestions of putting a light there. In my opinion, I think that's even more dangerous, because you come over that hill, if someone stopped or at a red light, you could go right in the back of them. So, you know,
And you
It's
could
funny
come
'cause
down
you-
that hill with sleet or ice on the road?
you're coming from, right, that too. I mean, you're coming from Central,
Right.
you look left, you look right, and by the time you go, you look left again, there could be someone right over that hill. So, again, appreciate what you guys are
And again,
doing.
we've spent a significant amount of money on this intersection, and I don't know if it's really significantly improved, but, you know, what we could do is limited anyway. And there's no doubt that most of the accidents, from what we've heard from the police department, not just recently, but even in the past, was basically people traveling north-south on Central Street, cutting across North Street. Of recent times, it's some of the people traveling north-south on Central Street think that it's a four-way stop there. The people coming down North Street are supposed to be stopping. So they've stopped, and now they're proceeding through, and the accident occurs. When we were discussing this with the consultants 2 or 3 years ago, when that discussion took place, I didn't see a very good solution to this intersection. There wasn't one. And at the time, you know, I suggested the traffic calming measures, you know, coming down North Street, you know, from Main Street, you know, towards Central Street, you know, with these traffic calming tables, not a speed bump, but a traffic table, just to slow the people coming from North Street, down North Street, just to slow them down, to give them a shot for the knuckleheads that are heading north-south on Central Street. Coming up with some wild idea that it's a four-way stop. Short of that, I don't know, taking the hill, what else can we do here? But I think, you know, this, maybe some measures of like these traffic tables, and I've seen them operate well in other communities. It slows people down. Gives them a shot at getting through the intersection safely. It's not going to solve the problem totally, but it's going to slow the traffic down. Coming down a lit rise, it's not speed necessarily, but it's to slow the traffic down a bit. It gives people a shot at getting through it safely. So we still, with all that we've done, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we've spent here, we need to do a little bit more. Just in several months since we completed the project, it hasn't worked. It's just
Do we have data on whether it's residents of North Reading or not? Because that could be telling, because if I'm not from here and I'm first going down that hill, like, I mean, that could catch you by surprise. So, I don't know, do we have that? I mean, we probably do, I don't know if you have.
January to April, Lieutenant Thibodeau gave me the accident reports in detail, and I did analyze a lot of it in the North Street, the Central Street side, and a lot of them had North Andover, Lawrence, or Lynn, Mass addresses, I don't know, taking back roads. And then I think the other vehicle would be a North Reading resident. So it seems like out of towners come stop or non-stop.
Yeah.
It's stopping and starting.
Yeah. And it's not to assign blame, it's just if you're not, if you drive it every day, you know, and you know exactly where you have to be super careful. But if you're not, and you like, when I first moved here, it like catches you off guard, all of a sudden you go from 30 to 45, just because you weren't expecting the hill to just do this, so that's just interesting that if a good amount had one non-resident and one resident, and that was like a trend, then again, it also backs the idea of like more user error, not, you know, and you can't.
We're investing in a significant amount of signalization here now, lit up signs, flashing signs.
There's a lot.
As people coming down, as they're sitting on Central Street, maybe they're gonna get a chance to take a look at it and read what they say, what it's supposed to be doing, but it just, some of it adds to the confusion too, so we just have to assist people, so a little bit better, so they get through the intersection safely. Again, short of taking the hill down and putting in a traffic signalization, we're not gonna control it totally, but we can mitigate it a bit more. And again, the frustrating part for me is that, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars here, and the return on that so far hasn't been terrific. So let's see what else we can do. Anything else on North and Central? I'll go home that way tonight. Hopefully get there safely.
No, the next one's yours.
Oh, the next side, yeah.
Park.
Yeah, Park Street, Central Street, currently a temporary signalization, money was appropriated for a permanent one. The temporary signals are to remain in place until this Chestnut Street Bridge is open to vehicular traffic, which we had discussed earlier, that maybe this spring now. Funds have been appropriated for that design and construction, improvement permanent signal, 223-24 town meeting, 30% design, just received from TEC on August 27th. We plan to review that in-house and have a meeting with them, just discuss the design. Public information will be held like the other intersections. And construction is anticipated in 2026, but, thinking about it with the lead times on the mast arms, I think there might be a little bit of a lag.
Why are we waiting? If we know there's a significant lead time, and the Chestnut Street Bridge timeline is what's going to drive permanent signalization. But if we know that it's a year lead time, why would we?
Well, if we're at 30% design now after the public information section, say if we can bid it out in February, award it by March, they can get on the order, and that would, that would be, I guess, winter of 27, which you wouldn't do construction. So I just wanted to kind of keep that in mind when we know. One thing that was frustrating for me is where these maps are, not taking over.
Well, we know we're going to do the signalization.
Yeah.
Don't know that the technology's going to change that dramatically. It's supposed to be in. We know we're going to do it. Is the problem with getting someone to bid it and wait until the Chestnut Street Bridge is done?
Yeah, it's gonna be certainly a timing challenge with long lead times on mass times, but one of the things that we do have is the temporary signals there. So, we'll come up with a plan that will, keep those in place, or, sort of try to get an order in somehow sooner for the permanent mass times, but I think that,
I just can't anticipate that the price of those are going to be going down.
yeah. I mean, typically a contractor orders it when there's awarded a bid, so unless we're gonna do something like pre-order, directly, from the town and that, I don't know that that's typical, or I would recommend that, but I understand, limiting the delays and not having that intersection, sort of be without signalization.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it's done.
working out. As
Yeah.
far as, this being my intersection here, that battle was waged a while ago. As I said, sometimes I get to look at the cemetery stones longer than I want.
Does the temporary stay during construction?
I think it's gonna happen,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the plan.
It does, right? So we just work around it.
So we'll work around it.
Yeah, so the permanent mast arms will not be where the temporary ones are currently. So they should stay.
when Chestnut and Park is open, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm just like driving a loop just because I can.
With that exhaust your resistance, correct?
Yes. We went through most of the questions. I don't know if there's any other follow-up questions?
No, again, thank you for taking the time to come here tonight and update us as far as all the projects that are ongoing, because there's an awful lot on your plate, a lot on our plate as to what we're dealing with here, and a lot of community interest too. So, we appreciate all that's being done, and the public should be well aware that we're doing everything we can to, move the projects along, but also make sure that it's done safely and completely without taking any shortcuts and holding the contractors' feet to the fire. And you're doing a terrific job and challenging, for sure.
It is challenging.
Each one of the projects are very challenging. There's no simple, no easy ones here. So, any other comments from members of the board? Mrs. Moran?
Thank you for a great overview, and thank you for all the hard work you're doing, on top of everything else you have to deal with. It's amazing.
Studo, Mr. Massey, what's that?
No, thank you, guys. Just talking about with a colleague recently about how New England schedules are just so much faster than everywhere else in the world. It's just immediate satisfaction, hurry up, get it done. So rather than do it right than hurry up, so appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you all.
Very good, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
gentlemen.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Studo,
I think we missed item 4.
did we? Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. I apologize. Public comment.
I know it's unlikely.
Mrs. Fillmore.
I just have a couple of questions, and Mr. Parisi's still in the building, so I can ask him. When you say Burrows Road is going to take approximately 2 years, you have to remember, the only access into Burrows Road is that one. They do have the access road that you come into 114, which is a death trap.
125, yeah.
Is it gonna, there's something going to be done, and I'm not putting you on the spot, something going to be done to take care of that situation? I mean, I don't know, you can go up into Wilmington, that new division up there, and maybe get in, but that's lock and key right now.
Actual construction and shutdown of the road wouldn't be 2 years. It would be a shorter period of time. But what we were referring to, design, fitting,
Yeah.
construction, completion. But, there'll be some traffic plan put in place, some sequencing of work to, keep it open for as long as possible. But there will be a point in time
Yeah.
where,
And my biggest concern is emergency vehicles. Going
Right.
into that access road is like, if in fact, because there's a lot of old people, there's a lot of young people that need help too. But to have an ambulance or a fire department, and that's happened many times, to get in through that area and have it just kind of, it's a tough thing. So I just want to make sure that,
all of that would be considered.
All
when we
right.
get to that point.
I know you
Yeah,
take
because
it.
right now, yeah, we just have the access from
Yeah.
125 through Rounder Terrace there. right?
Yeah, but
And then-
that's, yeah.
I'm trying to think where you're talking about Wilmington, there's a new
That
subdivision in
new
the backside?
division is up there, and I think that's Wilmington,
Yeah.
or Andover.
No, that's Andover.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
that's
Andover.
That's Andover.
Okay,
Yeah, but their only
But
access is the same way ours
that's
is.
lock and key.
Right.
No, they have a
On
road going up
125?
onto 125, but, our access road was always Random Terrace, that
Right,
little
right.
dirt path.
Yeah.
So,
That's-
and Mr. Gilbert is going to add to that.
Okay, another comment? Yes. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I wanted him
Sorry,
to.
so we were on site with, actually, Kodiak, the company that's doing these other 2 bridges, and we had a great conversation, very informative conversation with them. I think the temporary solution, which is likely to be in place for years, if we're just being honest with what the permitting would involve, they talked about a very quick timeline for that construction, days, maybe week or weeks. But getting that in place, basically buying us the additional time that's needed for a much larger construction project to be designed, permitted, any environmental
Yeah, that's a-
implications.
That's a huge,
It's a long way down the road.
Mhm.
And dare I say, we already have a West Side Fire Station in place by the time it starts, who knows? But the temporary improvements, which would be more than patching the holes. It
Yep.
would be something laid over
Right.
the existing structure. You know, they described a pretty quick turnaround for that. So that was encouraging to hear. I think he said, I don't want to oversell it, but he said a short turnaround. Days or weeks, not years, so.
Okay, and just one more question. In the sewer situation going up to the high school, is that blocking off all access into, because you're gonna be going into Bow Street and the senior center, because you've got a lot of people coming into that, and you'll have parents parking for the kids getting into school and all that stuff, so we'll have no parking. And is that going, and that's not your job, but is that something that's gonna be taken care of, so that,
I think that just came up, Joe, today,
Yeah,
right?
so we had a meeting actually on site today with the police chief and contractor, Dave and I. And so basically, the contractor will be sort of delaying his work to not interfere with the morning hours. But there's some work on Bow Street where the police chief thought that traffic could be detoured to the other side of the island. And the contractor could do some amount of work on Bow Street without too much problem with school traffic.
okay, I just was, like I said, parents park up there as it is, and trying to get when they have events and that, and there's a full parking.
Yeah, no, it was understood that, when the Harold Street shut down that section, parents continue to park all around there and probably grab spots, wherever they can, right?
Yeah,
So,
okay,
understood.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Gilberto.
Just for setting expectations, so, there will be a stretch of time there will be construction in the parking lot. at the
Well, it's gonna
Fairfield
happen
House.
because there's.
And that will have an impact, yeah.
And there'll be some coordination, there'll be some coordination with events, but there will be some lack of parking for sure
Yeah.
at that point in time.
But it has, it's gone quickly. Once they were able to get what they needed in place, it seems to have gone pretty quickly with relatively few issues.
It shouldn't be a lingering problem.
Yeah, maybe if there's an opportunity, could use the historic site next to Damon Tavern, where Apple Fest sells a bunch of parking area there, so I'm just thinking, hopefully.
As
I'll take it.
as it is, they use that anyway when, they're doing the exercise program, because there's so many people up there, they go up there, they have to use the data tab.
I was just thinking of a crosswalk.
Very good. Any other public comment? Hearing none. Okay. And I apologize for passing that on. Received the report of the Facilities Master Plan Committee. Mrs. Hurlbert.
Yes, I believe that all of the selectmen received the draft. Master plan, really what I was reading, to move it to the selectmen for, building seconds. There have been a few changes here and there, mostly just word changes or typo type stuff. But overall, I think it's probably pretty much as it's going to be. I did receive an interesting letter from Todd today, email, and I don't know if any of you seen, but I'll give a copy here of that. I also gave a copy to Mr. Leno, speaking very highly of the master, Sony's master report. And what he got out of it, which was a tremendous amount from the standpoint of, here's an example. One example that really stands out is the Senior Center Clock Tower. In HKT's draft, they pointed out compromised structural components that needed to be replaced. The call-out really gave us a push we needed to take corrective action and helped us avoid what could have turned into a much bigger, more expensive project. And then it goes on. I did share it with the Facilities Master Plan late this afternoon. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Mr. Massey. In any event, the Facilities Master Plan started out just before COVID, and of course, as soon as COVID hit, all the buildings were in lockdown, so we really couldn't do much. We then sort of started to, the priority had been that the fire station needed to be looked at first, and we became very involved in the fire station project. And that took some of the energy of the committee for quite a while until we pulled the fire station project out and the Board of Selectmen made it into its own freestanding project. Tonight's report concerns the buildings that we ended up looking at very closely and what kinds of things might happen or not happen with them. Of course, some of the situations, such as an intergenerational center versus a senior center, is really something that the community has not decided yet, nor have they decided on a location. So much of this is conceptual. However, from Todd's standpoint and from a lot of other people's standpoint, the level of engineering and various other technical look-sees that have gone into some of these municipal buildings has been very beneficial. The idea behind this report is really that it should be visited on an ongoing basis and tweaked and looked at as a conceptual map. But of course, as we know, and certainly just since the beginning of the facilities master plan, the appetite or desires or directions that the town might take on a number of these projects has changed quite a bit. So nothing is particularly fixed in time, as it were. Tonight we have Bill Hammer from HKT, which was the lead architectural firm for this municipal project. And he was going to give us an overview of the report. Mike, can you get Bill on?
So he's in, and I've made him a co-host, so he should have the ability to move freely within the meeting.
You're gonna have to tell Bill what's going on.
Bill, can you?
Okay.
There you are.
You can hear me?
Yep, and you can turn your video on if you want to as well, I think.
Yeah. The audio is on.
How about the video, Bill?
We'd love to see you if you're able.
For some reason it's not going on.
There you are. There you are.
Oh, there we are. Wonderful.
Bill, can you see the screen that says the North Reading Facility?
I can see the screen. You can hear me, I assume. Why don't I just jump into it? I think Abby gave a pretty good introduction. I mean, it's been almost 5 years since we started this in in December of 2019. And we've had a pandemic and all kinds of other things that made life interesting. But this is really meant to be an overview and not get into the weeds. So you're saying I can advance this as well?
No, Joe will advance it for you. Just say next.
Oh,
slide.
okay, that's what I thought. So, the fire station sort of became the central project after about a year and a half or so of getting into the general facilities master plan. And I just put this in here to show what we came up with. I think that the project is changing, I think for the better. I think that there is too much. We fit everything on the site for a central fire station, but it's too tight. There isn't enough parking, and I think it's the wise route is to go and scale back this and then do a substation. So that's kind of where we are with the fire station. We can go on to the next one. Whoops. Yeah. So these were the projects that we were working on for the most part. A couple of these, besides the fire station, came out of the master plan. It was decided that no one was really ready to deal with that, or there were other factors. The Department of Public Works was one of them. Lakeside Pumping Station came out, and the Flint Memorial Library came out of the master plan study. The Hillview Country Club, that was a struggle, and I think we, you know, the building is not a good building in terms of usage, and it's got a plethora of code violations. If you did anything major with it, it would cost a fortune to bring it up to code. And then the question is, could the country club support a large restaurant and facility venue? And basically, nobody really was willing to step up and say, oh, yes, of course it can. So that, my understanding is there is a change now. They're really thinking about taking down part, if not all of it, and rethink what should go there. And I think that's a good thing to do. The upper, the town hall, the Parks and Recreation, third parish, excuse me, I still call it the third parish meeting house, but the third meeting house, and Damon Tavern, we did a lot of investigative work as existing buildings. We had reports done by our mechanical, electrical, HVAC, and fire protection and structural consultants. So that's in the report, and again, boring stuff, but it was done and it's there, and I think it'll be helpful for whomever takes this or any of these projects forward. So we can go to the next one. So this is the buildings that did get included, of course, went through that, but I think the main things are, besides the fire station, the town hall, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. The town hall is a big project that needs to be addressed at some point. Damon Tavern is an interesting one because the building functions as partial museum. The local radio TV station has their operations. And then there are part of it's a museum. There are recreations of rooms, bedrooms, function rooms. There's a wonderful room on the second floor. I'm sure most of you are aware of it, with these incredible murals that have been restored. So for the Damon Tavern, we didn't see that as a major capital project, but more of a maintenance thing. Worked a lot with Todd Wokel on repairs for the Damon Tavern. The third parish meeting house, or I'm sorry, I keep calling it that, I just can't get it out of my head. The third meeting house, we did work with that, with Todd, and it split off to a couple of small projects. One of them, as Abby mentioned, was structurally getting the clock tower. It was in tough shape, and the worst kind of weather. There's no telling what could have happened to that, but that's been repaired. It's safe. I know Todd's done a number of other things with that, and we'll talk about that in a moment. We can go on to the next. The Intergenerational Community Center, that, when we started this project in 2019, that seemed to be the project that everybody was very excited about. We brought on Abacus architects. Those principals are friends of mine. They've done a lot of community centers, and we thought they could do a better job and really looking at this project than we could because of their experience. They, the status of the project did change because there was really not a lot of consensus about exactly what the solution should be. So they wound up looking at basically three size intergenerational community centers, which were different. The main difference between the three is the size and the capacity of the gymnasium. And I don't think that there is any agreement, at least to my knowledge, as to what kind of an athletic facility should be there. Should it be as comprehensive as the large version or one of the other selections? So that's a project, and there's a detailed spatial program that was done for the intergenerational community center. And it's a good starting point. I still think there's more work to be done. I think everybody is aware of that. But I know the fire station, I think we all agree, the fire station right now is more critical. That is a building that is just so out of date, and the science of fighting fires is a lot more comprehensive and different than when it was, this building was designed. So I think it's important for the town for lots of reasons to get that resolved. And we can go to the next slide.
Just want to interrupt you, Bill, for a quick second.
Somebody have a question?
Those three designs of the intergenerational center were based upon building that on the Wheeler Barn property, correct?
No.
Yeah, which was the next slide.
Thank you.
However, that is
What's it, Bill?
the large
Bill?
I'm sorry?
The designs for both the freestanding senior center and the intergenerational center are not site-specific. Originally, for many years, the town, long before the facilities master plan, had wanted to put a community center at what's sort of called the Wheeler Barn property, okay? And that went south for a variety of reasons. Will it be resurrected? Don't know. So neither of these designs, nor the freestanding senior center, which you'll see a little later, were site-specific.
Okay.
And the bill refers to the Wheeler Barn property, and the Wheeler Barn, that's the barn way in the back that has all the recreation department, maintenance and field equipment. And that's something that will be replaced, supposedly.
I thought it was based off conversations and the length of the building design. But
Early on, it was the discussion.
Yeah.
But then we realized there were some issues that we could elaborate.
Mr. Gilberto, so I think it's both. I think when we started designing this building, even going back to 2013, it was being designed for a rectangular piece of land, which is what the Wheeler property is.
Mhm.
The property, along with the property in front of it. I think we weren't limiting the use of the design to just that site, that it was well determined years ago at this point that it would be a portable design for other sites as well. But I don't think we can avoid the fact that we started talking about this, not only with this committee, but with the good folks in Parks and Recreation back in 2011, 12, and 13. It was working off of a parcel of this shape. So, but certainly, it's not as if you couldn't move that design elsewhere. You certainly could.
understood. Thank you.
And I think what we saw ended up looking a lot like Wilmington's, which is a very new design when you look at that triangular shape. So, anyway, thank you.
Okay, Bill.
Okay, this is the Wheeler Barn property. When we were doing our analysis of buildings, everyone agreed that the existing Wheeler Barn has no future. It's a mess. I don't even think it's completely heated. It has limited plumbing, and it's in the long run not reusable. Again, if you started working on it, there'd be so many code issues that you would have to tear it down. We designed, we worked with Marty, I can't remember his last name,
Tilton.
to develop, pardon?
Tilton, what's his last name? Marty
Yes,
Tilton.
thank you. And we developed a space program, what he needed, and we did a very simple building. I don't think it has to be too complicated. We showed this, it could be built out of wood frame. We were showing the long spans out of wood trusses. We have, on the upper left, you have the apparatus bay for equipment, trucks and whatnot. And then you have an office, you have a shop. And then there's a mezzanine on the right-hand plan where there's a lot of equipment storage and small stuff that can be stored up there and easily accessible and probably stored in some sort of order, which is hard to do in the existing building. And then there's a covered area, which is it's on the left side of the section down below. But when you look at the plan up above, it happens to be on the right side just because of the orientation. That's a covered area, so they can do some work outside and have some cover, repairing equipment or sorting things, etc. And then we're showing it moved all the way to the back of that site. It's that little dark building. We left everything open because something should go in there. Right now it's parking. I think there's some wetlands in there. But that's to be determined, and I think it could be a very nice use, probably recreational, but that's to be determined. We can go to the next slide. Now we were asked, this wasn't part of the original, but we were asked to do a layout of a separate standalone senior center. Some people were interested in that. What Abacus did was, these are actually some plans of actual, with some minor modifications to fit the program that they've actually built in other towns that had specific site issues and whatnot. So since this wasn't part of their initial scope, they volunteered to do this and show us just some different options of a standalone senior center. Really beyond that, there's been very little discussion about a standalone. We did develop a plan, which you'll see in a moment, of taking the third meeting house, which is now the senior center, and you'll see, maybe we should move to that next slide. Yeah, this is what we were proposing if the third meeting house were really totally redone and made into a robust senior center on its own. What we're showing here is, if you look at that lower level plan, which is now the basement, most of it's storage, there is an entrance. I don't know if you can't see my cursor, I take it. There is an entrance up there, and then go back a little. Yeah, right there. Those are entrances from the grade to go directly in, and there are windows. So there are actually some spaces down there that could be used for classrooms or whatever. We also are suggesting whether or not The addition that we're showing in the back, we are suggesting as part of the restoration and expansion of the third meeting house is get rid of that fire escape, which isn't benefit anybody, put in a proper stair and an elevator. And that allows the building to really serve not only seniors, but everybody, disabled people. And then that addition on the other side of that is space to be determined. But the whole thing, what we get out of that is about, I think it's a little over 9,000 square feet of usable space. We get rid of the ramp, which again isn't part of the historic exterior. We got a little more parking in the back. You see that angled part. There'd be some handicap parking on the left side, so you could go. There'd be an entrance directly in from that parking, and that would be the accessible entry, and that would become the main entrance. And the reason we call it the main entrance is where the stairs are, where people could still enter that way in the front, but not being handicapped accessible, we can't call that the main entrance. We can't have people entering through the sort of a secondary entrance. That's part of the accessibility statute. And I think we could actually landscape that whole left side and really make it into a nice way to get into the building and have a decent reception area as well, and easy access to the elevator. So that's our plan for the third meeting house, if it were to be converted into or expanded into a senior center. If not, what we would recommend is putting on the stair and the elevator in the back, not necessarily building the other addition unless it were needed by the town, and then use the space, the rest of the space. I know that there is more up on the upper level than we're showing here, I believe. I know Todd has been doing some work on that. But it isn't programmed, but it could be used, again, for town-owned spaces, could be leased out as well. With the elevator, it makes it a little more attractive. So that's kind of where we are with the third meeting house. And we can go on from there. The town hall. This is a big project. I mean, this is in the report. I'm trying to think. This building literally needs to be gutted. All of the systems are way beyond their useful life. Heating, ventilating, air conditioning, electrical, fire protection. The roof needs to be replaced. The windows all need to be replaced. They're all single glazed windows. It would be a major project. It could be a nice building, a decent workplace. I think we haven't really polled people who work here, but I know we've done other town halls, and when they're in this kind of a state, a lot of the people who work there, they're not as happy as a nice, clean, new place. So at some point, that's a major project that hopefully will be done. Again, things could change. It could be decided, let's build a new town hall someplace else. which is another option. We did not explore that option because this was what we were told was going to be the site for the town hall. And I think there's another slide. Yeah, we looked at a couple of ways of expanding and how we could add more space to this, which probably is needed depending on what departments and ultimately wind up in there. But this would fill in the spaces between those two wings. That pink section there is an open office area, which could be used, I can't remember what, I can't read the key, but I think that might be building department space, I'm not sure. The gymnasium, actually on the previous slide, actually is shown also as open office space, again to be determined. The stage would come out, but definitely could resolve or provide more space for the town administration. And then I think there's another scheme, or was that the previous one? Yeah, scheme B. This was another one, which actually I would not recommend this one, but we looked at it anyway. Instead of filling in between the two wings, as with the previous scheme, is to just stick another wing out there. I think it would be actually cheaper to fill the whole thing in and get more space than to build that. Now you're building a lot more exterior wall for less interior space, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We were showing, I think, go back to the, yeah, we were, no, I'm sorry, go back to the next one. Yeah, we were showing skylights over the corridors to get natural light into the center of the building. Those white corridors that you see that are interior, they could have that kind of treatment, again, which would make the space a lot nicer and get more daylight in there, which is always better. So I think that may be it, other than any questions you might have. Oh, no, I take it back. Here are the cost estimates. I forgot about these. What we did is we...
Bill, hold on 1 second, please. Mr. Studo?
I have a question on this slide.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That projection, that cost for the town hall is renovation, right? Do we have,
Yeah.
do we explore what the number would look like for raise and build, new?
No, we didn't. I would say the actual construction probably would be less expensive. And the reason I say that is you've got to strip the thing down to about the only thing that you can reuse is the concrete slab and the bearing walls. I don't think the roof structure is sound. It would need some kind of reinforcement. These are based on square foot costs, and we added, I think, 20 to 25% on top of the square foot costs for the actual project, because you're going to have architectural engineering fees, you're going to have new furnishings, you're going to have all kinds of other stuff to get it's a project cost, not just a straight construction cost. And the town hall, or I should say, what we did is we showed these numbers and what inflation would look like every 5 years for up until the 15th year, starting in 2026. So what we're looking at is, and we, for now, based on current rate of inflation, for buildings, it's been about 6%. And so we carried this through 6% for 15, compounded over 15 years, which hopefully inflation wouldn't be that much, but who knows? We felt we'd rather overestimate than underestimate for planning purposes. And it's interesting. We always like to do this to show people that, yes, you can't do everything now, but there is a cost for waiting. And this just gives you kind of a little incentive of the differences in costs. And when we look at, for example, some of the other projects that were done in the early 2000s and 2012, something like that, you were looking at costs for, depending on the building, that might have been in the, maybe 100, 150, $200 a foot. As you got later into the teens, it was probably creeping up on 200. This is for renovations mostly. And now new buildings are going for anywhere from $900 to $1,200 a foot. That's how much things have increased since the pandemic. It's been astounding.
And just to provide a little bit clarity, sorry to interrupt you, Bill, to my board and the general public, is that that third column is actually meant to say 2036, 5-year increments.
Right,
So
instead
see-
of 2026, yeah, every 5 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I fixed that in the report. I didn't get to fix it here. I apologize for that.
No problem.
So I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, Mr. Studo.
If it may be cheaper to build a new one, based on what we just heard, right? Why would we?
For a town hall you're talking about?
Town hall, right? I mean,
Yes.
outside of nostalgia, why would we even consider a renovation over a new building? Like, I mean.
Well, I think, I won't talk for the town, but when we started this, there had been talk about other locations, and the feeling was, this is the best location, it's free, we don't have to buy it, et cetera, et cetera. I just want to be clear about one thing. I believe today it would be cheaper to build a new one. Back in 2019, that may not have been the case. And I think it's going to be close anyway. It's not going to be hitting a home run. And if you take into other considerations, like if you did have to buy another piece of land, I think we did consider temporary, if you were renovating this thing, you're also going to have temporary quarters. You're going to have to lease some space, get some trailers, maybe move into the Damon Tavern for some offices, who knows. But that's a separate, I'm just giving you my gut opinion right now. I think if people really want to pursue that, it's worth a little more of a detailed study. And I don't think it would be that big of a deal to do. Again, looking at square foot costs, and we know how big or how much space is needed. You don't have to design a whole new building. You can just
Bill,
do it based on square
Bill, on
foot costs.
on the town hall cost, Bill, which plan was that associated with? the estimated cost.
I'm sorry, say that again?
On the town hall estimated costs here, which plan were
Yeah.
we talking about? You had 3 different iterations.
Oh, I just took an average square footage of those 2 um, schemes,
So
as I recall.
as far as
Yeah.
filling in, this includes, or is it a partial inclusion of the filling in between the 2 wings?
Actually, you know what, I take that back. This was just to renovate the existing building. I don't think this included the addition. I'd have to go back and check that. Yeah, these numbers were run, at least the initial 2026 number was based on a number that we had, a couple of years ago at least, I think 2023, and then we escalated that. But I gotta check and see.
Okay, I'm just
how
sure,
many
I didn't know
square
what we were
feet.
working off of as far as the initial cost here, which, if it's just the renovation of the current space and no additional space, we just need to know that, that's all. Yeah, Mr. Studo.
One last, and what I think I was implying is that you would bulldoze this, and we already have the land. So just to add the cost to get rid of this building.
And temporary quarters.
And temporary
You gotta-
quarters.
Temporary, but more of like, not, that, we're not finding a new location, we're just saying, kinda like, you know, what everybody now does in North Reading, buy a house, tear it down, build a nicer one.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
it's just, that's what I'm, if the cost, plus or minus, was not that much dramatically different, I think that, I mean, I don't know, I don't know about building, but I know at least about residential construction.
And I
You know,
could-
a new house is gonna probably last.
I
a
can
lot
assure you
longer
that
than
there's no nostalgia.
No, I
There's
think,
no
I think
nostalgia
that's a
attached to
good
this
point.
building.
I think
So-
that's a possibility. I know it was discussed at the time, and again, it really wasn't, nobody really wanted to pursue it, to be honest with you. But I think, you know, this is something that when it becomes a real project, and that's what these numbers are really meant to show is, this is what it's gonna cost to do something. So, you know, you can put it out for as long as you want, but at least you'll have some sense of the scale of construction.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay. Mrs. Herbert, want to wrap up or
I
tickle us
think
for
that-
some more questions, or,
I'm sorry.
I said tickle us for some more questions or input?
I think that this was a conceptual study to look at the ins and outs of the various buildings, some of the potential or not potential, and to also verify what the condition was of the assorted systems within the municipal buildings. And I think, and to look at, should it be repurposed, should it be torn down, should it be reinvented? And I think it did that. I think there's obviously more to do, not necessarily as this kind of a study, but I think that there is a list inside the report that suggests other avenues that could be pursued in other projects. I think that from the standpoint of the handbook, to use and modify and base some discussions and or decisions on that this should serve the town reasonably well. But the town has to use it. And the town has not always used such reports in the past. So, you know, hopefully that it can be looked at from time to time, changed around, changed up, added, subtracted, and at least I know that some of the building department have found it very useful. But that was not the purpose of the committee, that it was an important side benefit that came up from it. So hopefully the Board of Selectmen will vote to accept this final report of the facilities master plan on these particular projects. And are there any other questions? Oh, really?
Yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna say something.
Mr. Massey.
One, I just want to thank Bill. Bill, thank you for your work. If anything, this gives at least the town a blueprint on how we can plan. We now have some ballpark estimates where we can trend to how we're going. So I appreciate that, and some idea of, certainly, like Todd mentioned, and DPW mentioned, that it's turning into a working document for them, so that's great news. So I appreciate that. I want to also thank Joe Parisi and the DPW for their work, and certainly Abby as the chairwoman in the Facilities Master Plan Committee. A lot of years, a lot of meetings, a lot of time spent on this report here and our outcomes. So I think, Abby, you and the committee deserve all the thanks, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you for myself as well as the committee, of which you are a member.
And just to, real quick to Mr. Studo's point, obviously, you know, economy of scale makes all the sense in the world. The value that you get is second to none when you build new compared to renovating. You renovate a 30-year building, I think that's a little bit different. You renovate a 60-year building, you wonder how much value you're really walking away with. So there was certainly some talks and a funny recommendation. Scott Buckley just recently joined the committee and has been very active, so I've been thanking him for his efforts. But he came up, you know, we obviously know that town hall is an issue. It's coming up, whether it's now or 10 years or 15 years. We know this building isn't lasting us too much longer. We know there's a desire for a senior center. Looking at, like, again, as I mentioned in my new business, we looked at this property, and I was throwing out the idea of using this property to its full potential. I mean, it's got 10 acres. Behind our field here, it goes back about 5 more acres. So to see if there's a possibility, if you know, he threw out a potential senior center and and town hall property, whether it's 2 different buildings or 1 building, whatever. It's not a bad idea. It's something that, again, we have this land. It's free. It's big, and we know that an existing issue is town hall, which is right next door. So there's a way of, obviously, one of the main costs, or one of the worst costs to spend, is on temporary measures. We would want to try and avoid any temporary measures for construction projects. It's just wasted taxpayer dollars. You don't get any return. So if there's an opportunity where you can, again, like all schools have, build next to it, knock down the old one, that's ideally the direction that the town would want to go. Thank you.
So again, this has been a work in progress over 5, 6 years or more.
Yeah, I have to say with all due respect that the 2 projects that took the longest, so to speak, not necessarily in intricacy but in time, was the fire station, because it was such a huge project, and the intergenerational / senior center because of so many different stakeholders having very different kinds of ideas. And so the bulk of this report was actually pretty much accomplished several years ago, but we got hung up on intergenerational, and then about 4 months ago, a freestanding senior center, and the change in the direction that the fire station was going in, which had been pulled out about a year and a half ago from the facilities master plan, but took up a huge amount of initial time.
No doubt. And again, the challenges presented to not just this community, but everybody across the country here, as far as the pandemic, was huge, as far as being productive, being able to meet, being able to go through the facilities, being able to talk to people, being able to get the necessary information gleaned to make some informed decisions and determine a direction. So that certainly was an impediment. But, you know, through it all, I mean, you and your committee, Abby, and prior liaison, Kate Manupelli, and Mr. Massey's been on, you know, for a little over a year now, been an active participant, but Kate before that too, as a participant. You've done a tremendous amount of work, and as people have already said, this is going to be, and already has been, a document that we can work from, not just from a replacement standpoint for facilities, but also maintenance, repairs, and upkeep, and modernizing different things. And it's already being utilized, which is a good thing. But we all know, recent discussions have come to the forefront where we're talking about we need to do something with the fire station. That has to be addressed from a public safety standpoint. Expansion of the senior center in some fashion or another, whether it be on-site, somewhere else, leasing spaces, needs to be talked about, and determinations need to be made, not just short-term, but also long-term, in order to meet the needs and the programming that's necessary for that segment of our community. And as you said, Abby, we have a lot of different constituencies here who are weighing in over this time period, and whose minds and ideas had shifted over this time period too. And that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. And what we have now is a document to work from with an idea as to what the costs associated with some of these projects are going to be. And now we as a board will have to collectively come together with the assistance of other volunteers and committees throughout the town to, you know, weigh the prioritization of different projects and what, you know, where do things rise and fall. And if it ultimately goes to town meeting, to the voters, because most of these things are not going to be done within the general operating budget. You know, it's going to be done through some sort of a town meeting action and an override for specific projects, so people know what they're getting and what they're spending their tax dollars on. And again, Bill, we appreciate the effort and time that was put in. We appreciate the thousands of hours that have been clocked in here, not just from the volunteers, but also from our administrative staff along the way to help facilitate the report. And Bill, we appreciate the efforts of your outfit in trying to herd these cats and get these ideas on paper, because it's not an easy task to take on
Well, thank you.
public interest.
I've enjoyed working with the town.
Yeah, it's a challenge anytime you take on groups and organizations like this. And again, minds change, priorities change, and focuses change. And in the meantime, you're sitting there saying, what would you like me to put down on paper? You know, what do you want to report? So you've done a great job and shown a significant amount of patience in making a very cogent report to us that's understandable. It's already up on the website, so the public can look at it. And it really helps the general public understand the challenges that we're facing as a community from infrastructure standpoints and needs, and what we're going to have to address, because they're not going to go away. And it's also very telling when you chart it out over a 15-year time period, the costs associated with it aren't going to go down. They're only going to escalate. So we have some important decisions to make. We have some ideas to flesh out and determine the direction we're going to take. And I think these are going to be the topics of discussion in the not-too-distant future. And choices are going to have to be made. So, again, for the Facilities Master Plan Committee, we appreciate all of the effort and time that was put into it, the thoughtfulness and the discussions and the agreements and disagreements, and come to some conclusions here, which is great. Bill, for your effort again, for putting it together for us. And we do have a working document to move forward with, and greatly appreciate it. Any other members of the board wish to comment?
No, Mr. Chair, just want to reiterate kind of what I mentioned in our last meeting about this report was coming, and it's going to be all eyes on the select board to really make a decision on how we want to move forward.
Make some decisions, it's plural.
It might
Plural
be.
decisions.
Might
Yeah.
be. I just want to
Yeah.
bring to your attention to see if we can get on the agenda as soon as possible, because I think I think moving on that, whether it's getting funding to have a study for whichever this board decides, intergenerational, senior, brand new town hall, renovate town, doesn't matter, but I think having a direction and moving forward is very important.
Well, I think you see a couple of articles on the October town meeting warrant that'll start the process going to address some of the needs. Again, it might not be for a new facility, it might be for new space for the senior center and other things. Again, one of the articles here is appropriate funds for continued facilities planning. So I think the public can anticipate a lot of discussion moving forward, and get some direction from the public too as to what their appetite is and what we think we can put forth for consideration. But again, Abby, thank you to you and your group and your organization, keeping us together, and bringing us this to fruition, completion, so it's greatly appreciated. And you can probably take a little bit of a break, at least in this moving forward, take on something else.
I think I have a lot of things. Finance committee.
No, you've got plenty to keep yourself busy, and that's a good thing.
I'm not really looking for a second job.
You're not? No. To replace your other, this job here, your other paying job?
There were a number of aspects of this that I really liked. There were other aspects that I was less fond of. But, I loved working on the fire station renovation. That was a lot of detail, a lot of work. I mean, we got up to completed construction drawings, and this was not just a conceptual thing. It was real.
Right.
And it was working with a lot of the firefighters and Don Stats and some of the people at HKT, et cetera. It was a fascinating project. I loved it. What are you going to do, kids?
But again,
But thank you very
but
much.
as a board, we're extremely grateful, as a community, we're extremely grateful, and again, people sometimes can't appreciate what it takes to put something like this together, and the number of hours and hours, meetings to do it. We're extremely grateful.
Well, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
So, board members, anything else? I do have a motion, I believe, to accept the report.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yes, Mr. Guerrero.
I don't want to repeat what has been said, but
Please do.
I just feel it's really important to recognize how much work Abby put into this project. She has been I think, the one of maybe two constants, maybe three, if we include the
No,
fire
two.
chief. You, Dawn, and Dawn, right?
Well, for John on the fire station, but not on the rest of it. Yeah.
So, I just want to recognize that work. When the committee needed someone to be, in a leadership role, you were willing to step up and do it. And I've heard from a lot of different people in a lot of different forms, with a lot of different opinions, and managed them all through this process. And I know I'm personally grateful for your work on it. So
Thank you very much.
Joy did a good job too. She was here from the beginning.
Well, Joe wasn't even here when we first started.
He was three
And,
directors
he
later.
wasn't that involved in the fire station per se initially either,
Yeah.
so, but since then, Joe and I have become close buddies, chatting regularly.
So I was actually very pleased that Abby was in the role because she was on it every day. She made the calls that had to be made, had the conversations that had to be had. And that helped us all understand what page we were on and moving the project forward. So,
See, Joe would say, would you mind calling him and telling him he's a jerk?
so thank you, Abby.
Oh, you're welcome, Joe,
Appreciate
thank you.
And as you know, Mr. Chairman, this now will take one of my liaison assignments away, so
Well, then,
as a recommended, feel free to throw me another liaison assignment. Because now this takes away two, probably within a month. So, again, you probably won't listen to it, but it's out there. It's floating.
You seem pretty busy.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm crazy.
Mrs. Morris, do we have a motion?
We do have a motion. Chairman, I move to accept the report of the Facilities Master Plan Committee.
Second. Massey, second. All right. Any further discussion? Who doesn't want to accept this report?
Mr. Wallner.
Mr. Wallen, I know. Mr. Wallen regrets not being able to be here this evening. But I'm sure his appreciation is also there. I'm sure he'll express it at the next meeting. So, on the main motion, which is move to accept the report of the Facilities Master Plan Committee. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous.
I would only ask that a number of studies that we've had done, for one thing or another, over the last 25 years, have become lost, evaporated, whatever else. But I would ask that there be some print versions of, HKT has very kindly offered to give us as many print versions once we've cleaned up the typos as we want. I would ask that there be one in a central place that was easily accessible, and one given, for example, to Todd or whatever, or whoever else wants it, because it's just all too often, particularly if there's a change in the head of the department or whatever else, and people just don't know it exists or where to find it. And I mean,
That's a
just
point well
finding
taken.
the building plans for the buildings that were in the initial municipal study was just a nightmare, because some were in Hillview, some were on the top of a bookcase in Town Hall, some were way in back of the stage. So, I mean, they were all over the place. And I would hate to have, and we couldn't find a lot of the studies that we wanted either. So I would just suggest that something be buried in a time box or put somewhere where you can find it.
I think our facilities, municipal facilities manager should coordinate catalog, have it in one place, and I think that's a good suggestion. And again, many times over the years, I've found that, people who have been around for a while say, we did a study on that, or we have it here, or I have a copy of it at home, and here it is. And I think it's important that things get a little more centralized.
Well, many places just keep something, keep a little bookcase, a little section in the library that has all of the 5 zillion things we fund for the reports or whatever else over the years.
And we have, over the years, had copies forwarded to the library.
Oh, you have?
We have,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Didn't look there
yeah,
for the blueprints.
so, it's good. But a good suggestion, it will be undertaken by the administration. And,
Get that, Joe?
and this won't get lost. It won't get lost. And again, these are all timely issues that are going to be addressed, I believe, in the short term rather than the long term. Determinations will be made at some point shortly on a lot of this stuff, so, again, we greatly appreciate it. Voted and accepted, and determine how many copies you need, we'll have Bill get it to us.
And we just want to make sure we have all the typos. The right copy goes to the printer.
Excellent.
Thank you for your presentation, Bill. We'll talk.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Have a good night, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Abby.
All right. Fall annual town meeting, warrant articles. Do we have a new one approved?
We do. I'm going to pass it out, but I actually caught something else that during this presentation should be added, so I will get to that in the review, but that's a paper copy of the warrant. It's, I'll go through how it differs from what was emailed out to the board a little bit earlier this afternoon. I'm going to share my screen, Mr. Chairman, and if it's okay with you, I'm going to try to limit my comments to too much of the financial detail, because I do feel like we went through a lot of that in pretty significant detail at the meeting in August, and we will go through it again, if not on the 15th, certainly on the 29th, when we have the warrant article hearing. So if that's okay with you, I'll take that approach, but if we find that we're getting stuck in
That's fine with me until a member of the board has a question, and you're going to have to answer it.
Yeah, sure thing. So, let me share my screen here. I'm going to start with the list of articles before I get into the document itself, because I think that just gives us some context of some of the changes. So I'm going to just go right to the bottom of the list. Well, first I'll start here. Yeah, I'll go to the bottom of the list. There's a handful of articles that I took off of the draft warrant. I think the board members saw what was in the packet and then what was emailed around this afternoon. First, what's listed as Article 22 on here, appropriate funds for 20 Elm Street. We went through, Lorianne was able to identify a previous article that will allow us to use the funds for legal expenses that are not related to litigation, so project review related expenses, and that's what I was looking to cover. So we feel we have sufficient funding in place to do that under that old article and don't need to tie up any more of the town's funds for this project at this time. The classification and compensation schedule for non-union municipal employees, we're looking at an option to try to have just a little bit of outside assistance. We have some volunteer help from a member of the finance committee actually who's got some experience in this that we're looking into. And where we weren't looking to do a full-on pay, compensation study, we weren't really looking to go too far outside of North Reading. We're looking to sort of bucket our own employees into different groups. I think it's worth a shot at this point in time based upon this offer to step forward. So there'll be more about that forthcoming, but I don't think it's in our interest to request funding at town meeting at this time. The three articles relative to this Riverwood and /Smith property and then the 1 Central Street property, I think I put them on there to highlight that these are areas where I think we need to be paying attention to and recognizing that there might be some unfinished planning for them. But I also recognize that we have a very significant facilities master plan that just wrapped up. It is before us. And if I'm being honest, I think it might be in the town's interest to really focus on the next steps for that at this October town meeting so that we don't lose the momentum. I think some of what we may do in the facilities master planning effort might begin to answer some of the questions related to those articles too. That's why I kind of felt we didn't need to tie up an article with funding for these at this point in time. So they're not on the draft, and that's why. And then the final thing, the late breaking change that was in the draft I emailed this afternoon, Article 21, considering continued membership of the MVRTA. That again, we know that there was legislative action to call for the expansion of the MBTA's the RIDE program to North Reading. We don't know what that means for our continued involvement with MVRTA. We talked internally on, I think, Thursday of last week and began to be concerned about asking the board to recommend the town start to vote to withdraw from anything until we have everything in place for services from the T. And then I talked to Representative Jones today, and he said, it's going to probably take a little bit of time. It's probably premature to take this vote. And this would have actually called for a second vote to happen at the ballot, town-wide, in order to bring it to fruition. That's a pretty big deal, obviously. So I just think it's premature. But I think we need to be aware of it as we're having the conversations regarding the MBTA and the RIDE. So that's what wasn't on the draft article list. I can then go through the warrant pretty quickly, I think.
All right,
based
any
on what is on it.
questions of the town administrator in relation to what was on for discussion purposes, to highlight different areas from the last meeting to now, and any differences of opinion in relation to whether it should or shouldn't? I think
And I
I
do
think it
think,
makes sense, so.
I think for the bottom few there, again, the work that we do with continued facility master planning, we may kind of touch right up against those same issues. Looking at sites, it's already happening, with both municipal and town-owned sites without an appropriation from the fire station building committee. So I think for now, I think we're okay.
Okay, concurrence, yeah? Okay, great.
I'm going to stop the share here, and I should just be clear, those were all proposed administratively. None of them were submitted by boards, committees, commissions, or even departments. So I just want to be transparent about that. I'm going to share the warrant for the benefit of people who are in the room here or at home. This is a draft that is pretty close to being ready to be signed by the board. Articles 1 and 2 are fairly routine articles, so there shouldn't be any surprises there. Article 3 was, I think, added as a potential item based on the financial planning team meeting that took place after the last select board meeting. And this was an area that was intended to be a receptacle and a holding place for significant portion of the free cash that we expect to have certified, hopefully this month in advance of town meeting. Special purpose stabilization fund is different than a general stabilization fund in that it usually are specifying a particular use of the funds, and then the vote at town meeting to authorize the funding is either is or is not consistent with that use. Excuse me while I let in a participant here. I think the struggle is we're expecting a transfer of over $3.5 million as part of this. I think it's a lot to ask this board or the town to decide in one sitting what we might use those funds for. So a compromise is an article that warns the community that we may be setting up a special purpose stabilization fund, and that town meeting may be asked to vote a specific purpose for this fund on October 6th, but I think there's more work to be done about what that purpose might be. And there is still some work to be done to ensure that we're, following appropriately the use of that chunk of free cash that would be transferred in. So it's entirely possible we could be talking about passing over this article come October 6th, but I think it's an important thing to put on the warrant so that we have as an option for ourselves to segregate that $3.5 million that I think was intended for projects here in the community. That explanation pretty clear, hopefully? Okay, if you want, I'll continue. Article 4, we carry it as a standard article for transfer into the general stabilization fund, although I'm not expecting to recommend a transfer at this town meeting. Article 5, capital improvement stabilization fund. I believe the transfer is $300,000 or $350,000 that we make in there. I don't know if we got that final number from the report. I meant to pull it out, but it's usually in that vicinity and it comes from free cash. Article 6, transfer from solid waste stabilization to solid waste stabilization fund. This is the balance of last year's solid waste budget. Did you have an exact figure? Is it approximately $11,000? Is that what you told me? Okay. So it's going to be a small number. It's no surprise based upon having gone a couple of years of not increasing the fee for what has been an increasingly expensive service that we provide for trash collection and disposal and recycling as well. The PFA, we don't have a number for that. We don't normally have it until the very end of September, and it will reflect what was left in the health insurance budget based upon our claims experience using the PFA for our health insurance for our active employees. Amending the 26 operating budget, I went through a handful of transfers, including the $9,800 for the senior center that will be proposed to be funded. Those will not be printed in the warrant, and it's by no means a final list at this time either. We'll address the issue in the description for the warrant so that people know that that issue is going to be addressed with, and as well as the other issues. But we don't generally print those numbers in the article itself because they are generally subject to change. But again, I think it was June was the first time we started adding in the description what we anticipated was going to happen. So that gives people information without boxing us in with the four corners of the warrant being a challenge. Article 9, establishing the Veterans Services Revolving Fund. This would allow the department to be able to raise fees to pay for programs and activities in connections with its operations. It would be added to a list of 12 or so revolving funds that are already on the books here. And we expect it would largely be funded by the fees for programs or activities paid for by veterans to participate, the money then going through the town's books and being used to pay for the expense associated with the program. That's for programs that would involve a cost. There are other programs, of course, that don't involve a cost. But we have something similar in elder services, I think, right? And we have it in other departments, although the fees tend to be permit fees or maybe other sources of fees. But this would seem to be the best way for the town, beyond the appropriation at town meeting, to support and provide assistance to the Veterans Department for the programming, the expanded programming it's been trying to offer, despite our own financial limitations. Rescinding authorizations to borrow, that's a housekeeping article. I don't believe we have anything right now we're planning to rescind, so it's likely to be passed over. Amending the fiscal year 26 capital budget.
Julianne has
He'll be already rescinded the road, right?
Can we send it at June time?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great question. I thought he'll be, but I thought, yeah. The capital budget, again, the major things that I need to warn folks about are the library elevator, which is right now estimated to be a $500,000 project, and then supplemental funding for paving in the amount of $535,000 that we talked about back in the presentation by the Capital Improvement Planning Committee in April. The department's going to look at whether it's going to reduce its request based upon additional Chapter 90 funding being available, but I think we did talk about ensuring that for some of the projects that we're doing, making sure we're doing not just curb to curb, but there's ancillary paved areas that are impacted as well, and I'm thinking about the center of town, near the library, Bow Street, the offset area by Croswell's. Making sure we cover all that, so there may not be an ability to reduce that, but we're gonna look more closely at that heading into the meeting. And again, I think I explained the town building repair article was intended, we expect to use some of those funds for a temporary ramp, which I'll talk about in the town administrator's report. This would be replacing those funds so that they're available for the intended projects as previously authorized. Article 13, appropriating money for planning, design, construction, and modular replacements. This was submitted with language that called for a potential Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion.
This is so ridiculous.
There was some discussion with the financial planning team, and I provided to some discussion, follow-up discussion with the superintendent of schools as well. I don't think anybody is prepared to put a debt exclusion funded project in front of the town at this point, and in fact, it may only be additional design and permitting that's ready to be funded come October town meeting. So the language has been adjusted to provide those options to us, but to take off the table any potential debt exclusion funded project at this town meeting. So there's work, that will be done. There's some interaction that the school department's happening, that they're having with MSBA, and that some of us will also have with the MSBA as well. We have this article as a proverbial placeholder to keep that project moving to the extent that it needs to at this October town meeting.
Source of funding?
I don't know that we even have a dollar amount right now for it, never mind a source of funding. It's going to depend where the phasing ends up at. It's going to largely depend upon feedback we get from the MSBA, I think in September too. So I wouldn't even want to try to guess.
They don't even know.
The Martins Pond Maintenance and Treatment, we're pleased to be able to put this article on there. Be expected to be funded by free cash, funding that will carry over from one year to the next when the committee needs it to deal with the pond, whether it's in the early spring before June town meeting or in a future year. Article 15, funds for additional programming relative to substance abuse treatment, mitigation, and prevention that is intended to be funded using opioid settlement funds that the town has already received. Article 16, continued facilities planning. We had this on the list. I opted to leave it on the list, anticipating the report of the Facilities Master Plan Committee that came in this evening. Wrote this to basically provide us an opportunity to ask for funding from the town to continue the work, whether it's on multiple projects or a single project, whether it's on construction, reconstruction, and renovation of the facilities. I identified in here broadly intergenerational, community, recreation, senior center, the third meeting house, which I added, you saw that highlighted. I know that was part of the presentation and it wasn't in the original draft that you saw, but I felt like we shouldn't ignore it. The town hall and/or the parks maintenance building, including all costs incidental and related thereto. Again, just to be clear, I wrote this as these renovation of work on these facilities, including but not limited to the list. And I kind of drew that list from the Facilities Master Plan Committee. I don't know that tonight we want to choose a project and choose how far we want to go with it, but I think we should look at this as an opportunity and be thinking about that and perhaps have more discussion, at the next meeting or at an upcoming meeting. But this warrant article would give you the avenue to be able to request funding, which I imagine would be free cash. To what extent it would be, I think there's some discussion that would need to be had, but this would give you, I think, a pretty broad ability to continue that planning effort without limiting yourself.
Right, and I think it was suggested at the last meeting, information you provided us, you had a figure of 50,000 in there. But
Yeah.
In light of what we heard this evening, and depending upon what direction we want to go, we'll have to look at, what do we really anticipate from a planning standpoint what are the needs going to be? And what's the dollar amount necessary to do it between now and the end of the fiscal year, between now and next June. And at that point, maybe we'll have some better direction as to where we're going, what projects we're really looking to undertake, and have more information if we provide ourselves with the resources to do further evaluation, so.
Article 17, knowing that any potential facility for the Elder Services Department is likely years away, with a site not necessarily determined. This would provide the town the ability to consider exploring renting space. I'm not certain on what the cost would be at this point in time, but I think that we're going to continue to do work and figure that out. My recollection,
15 to 30.
15 to 30. Yeah.
15 to 30. Yeah.
15 to 30. So, that, I think that will get us where we need to go in terms of taking what our facilities master plan called for space, and then turning that into a request for proposals and trying to identify potential locations that could be rented, upfitted and rented. Make no mistake, I think what would need to be involved in either the town's capital investment in a facility, or improvements by an owner in a property which we're a tenant, which presumably would be passed along to us in the rent, and the rent itself. At this point in time, as I sit here, I don't see the ability for the operating budget to absorb it within the tax levy. So I do think, to be fair to the community, we would want folks to be aware that this would likely be leading to a need for additional revenue to pay for the cost associated with renting the space or outfitting it. So I feel that from a transparency standpoint, it's important to share. Doesn't mean we should shy away from the article. It's all part of the equation. I think knowing what's out there for us to this, I think our goal would be to know come June what might be out there for us as options, and then to try to make a decision. If we can meet that goal, great. A lot happens between October and June, including the operating budget, which we know is coming in with a structural imbalance at this point, so there's going to be a lot happening, but we would be looking to do our best to advance this forward. Article 18 was the conversion of existing wine and malt beverage license to all alcoholic beverage licenses. It takes advantage of provision in state law that allows a licensee to come to us and make a request for an on-premise license to be converted from beer and wine to all alcoholic beverage. So thought from an economic development standpoint, it might be worthy to provide this option to the town. Again, this would still need to come back before the select board as a licensing authority here in town for approval on a case-by-case basis. Incidentally, you do have a case that's coming to you of an establishment that's looking to, they're applying for an available all alcoholic beverage license for off-premises consumption. That's Route 28 Beverages, Lucky Mart.
Lucky Mart.
Formerly Lucky Mart on the corner up here.
On North Street.
So that would be on your agenda for the 15th for a hearing. That's outside of this process. They're looking not to convert a license, but to actually get an available license. So the two are happening simultaneously, but they're not actually related. Article 19, we've talked a little bit about the North Street sidewalk, a couple of properties down. There was a site plan that it calls for.
I just want to back up on Article 18. This wasn't on the proposed list at our last meeting.
It was not, correct.
Because it was forwarded to us from town council in between the two meetings.
Yes.
And I asked to put it on here because it just provides the board with, another tool in the toolbox if we want to take advantage of it. But if we wanted to do that, it has to be town meeting action to give us the authorization to do so. So there was correspondence between the last meeting and this meeting that precipitated the inclusion on the warrant. And again, we can discuss it at the next meeting, or even tonight, a little bit more, whether or not we want to avail ourselves of this opportunity. The legislature changed the laws and allows current beer and wine holders, beer and wine license holders to come in and ask for an all-alcoholic license, but it doesn't create a new license per se, only for that particular location, and once that location is gone or sold, it doesn't go with it. So it comes back to this board. So just another opportunity for us to allow current establishment to expand their offerings without creating a new all-alcohol license. But anyway, we can talk about it later. So that's why it's on there. But it takes town meeting action in order to provide the board the opportunity to avail ourselves of it.
Great,
I'm
thank you.
sorry, yeah. Go ahead.
No, that's great, thank you. Article 19, the site plan for 239 North Street called for a sidewalk to be constructed. It would require the expansion of the public way, and I believe that there's an intention to convey the land for the sidewalk to the town. This would authorize the select board to acquire the property for the sidewalk, and our hope is that the reconstruction of this street, which is based on its condition, a very involved project, would include that sidewalk and expanding the sidewalk that's available on North Street, which right now ends at this property. So
That
No.
was on there. That was on the.
I believe that
That's
was
it.
on the last list because I thought that came in
Right.
like the week before. Article
Yes.
20, the zoning bylaw floodplain district. This is based upon feedback we received for the bylaw that was approved at January town meeting. These changes were reviewed by the Community Planning Commission. They will be subject to a hearing, I think, on the 16th of September. They've been reviewed by town council as well, so they're included here on the warrant article. This would be some adjustments that would need to be made based upon feedback by the Attorney General in their review. So we went from over 30 articles to 20 articles in this version. To be clear, there's a lot that will be happening under the operating budget, under Article 8, and then a few projects under Article 11 as well, the capital budget. But they're not listed here at this point in time, although I did review them at the last meeting. Again, they're subject to change as we approach town meeting.
Okay. Any questions in relation to the town administrator presented as far as proposed warrant articles for the October 6th town meeting?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, are we signing the warrant first, or are we voting?
We're going to be signing the warrant first.
Okay.
Then we'll be working on the recommendations. You're okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I have a few issues through you to Mr. Gilberto.
Sure.
No costs are indicated on this warrant. Not only are no costs indicated, I think they should be indicated exactly how they are in our packet. Experience in working with other towns, I continue to be puzzled why is North Reading the one who gives the least amount of information on their warrants? I've seen it from other towns. They break it out exactly how you do it. Stabilization funds, they explain what is in it now and what is going in it. There's no detail in here, and you're asking for millions of dollars of transfers, and none of them are here.
That'll be in the explanation, what's mailed out. The warrant articles, if you get very specific with the warrant articles themselves, you're limited as to what you print. The explanation, which is what we included, what we will include to those that are mailed out, will have those details in it, as we started doing previously.
So
So-
what we're signing here is not the final version?
That is the final warrant articles that are going to be submitted for town meetings consideration, and those are going to give us the boundaries, the four corners that we can operate from within. What's going to be mailed to the public are these exact warrant articles
With the dollars.
with the explanations. The explanations are not part of the warrant. The explanations are not part of the warrant. The explanations are part of the mailing of the warrant to the public. We put that additional information in. It isn't published as what put up here, with Mr. Lab's.
So what goes to,
So the-
What goes to the residents will have all cost information that we're seeing on this.
The explanations will include those costs and what we're talking about. That's not the warrant article. That's the explanation of the warrant article is separate from the warrant articles themselves.
The little booklet will have all
In other words, if you were to include what the motions were going to be with the dollar amounts in it, most of the time, you're hamstrung, that you can't do anything more, anything different, because if something changes between tonight and October 6th, if you did that, we wouldn't be able to conduct the business and do it right. They have to be as broad as we can do it so that we can get the right numbers finalized.
Yeah, but most of them aren't finalized, Mr. Chair. I mean, prior year bills, yeah, that makes sense, but, you know,
Yeah, but even-
these are
even then-
set
even then we
funds that
don't
you're
put- even then we don't-
asking us to vote on
But even then,
too.
we don't put the, as, in the course of explanation, we say, there's $118 outstanding. But again, we may get a bill between now and
No,
October.
prior
6th.
year bills make sense. Everything else, I'm saying,
Yeah,
does
yeah.
not make sense as to why we wouldn't put costs.
We will do that, and the public will be adequately informed
Okay,
in what's going to be mailed to them.
all right.
It isn't necessary, and it isn't wise, to put it specifically, in many instances here, that way, because then you're limiting yourself as to what you can do, and as to what town meeting can actually vote on to effectuate the changes that need to be made to the operating budget or what we want to do moving forward. But the explanations that you're looking for are going to be included in the mailing to the public.
Understood. Something that isn't included is the stabilization funds. So I've been a part of this board now for about a year and a half, and no, they are not included as to what is in those funds and what is being added.
Not true.
No,
That is absolutely true.
No, it's
It's
not.
not
It might not be printed in the warrant.
It's not printed in the
It's
warrant.
not here. We're
Mr.
looking to
Chairman.
transfer money into the stabilization fund. We didn't put a dollar amount in because we're still trying to finalize the numbers to put it in there. But once the explanation is given at town meeting and once the mailing is set, the balances will be provided to the public. The information is going to be available. You don't do it in a warrant article. You do it in the explanation of the warrant article. Two different things. Mr. Gilberto.
Thank you. So I heard this feedback going back to the June town meeting as well, that we were not putting enough information in the warrant. And I think, I don't know if it was based upon the 7-page document that's in front of you or what becomes a 20, 25-page booklet that we mail to each home. But for years, well before my time, the description has included the balance in each of those stabilization funds. When that wasn't enough, we put them up on a slide at the beginning of the town meeting in the room for people to see when they walk in addition to that. In June, we decided, based on the feedback that we heard, the criticism that we took, we started to add in the description what we anticipated those transfers were going to be into those funds, or whatever votes were anticipated to take place. That's a bit risky. I don't love doing that, but we did it based upon the feedback. And the reason is because it's likely to change or it could change. So we're giving people information as it stands the night that the warrant is signed, maybe shortly thereafter. But this has to go to a printer 3.5 weeks before it is considered at town meeting. So there's quite an effort that goes into that. I need to caution everybody, for October it's different. To be clear, we don't even have a funding source in place for many of these articles. The free cash is not certified by the Department of Revenue. If we chose to wait until then, we would not make our deadlines for trying to have an October town meeting. And we've talked about this in the past. We can delay having the town meeting, but then we run into a problem with getting the tax rate certified, and we can't have classification done in time. So we have a charter provision that calls for a fall annual town meeting. It's generally in October. We've worked out this schedule to the extent that we can. But we'll put in here what we can reliably report to residents for actions. But to be clear, it's probably not going to be everything. It may not be everything that's on the list that you saw, because I don't want to be reckless in telling people that this transfer is going to happen or that transfer is going to happen if we don't have a reasonable level of certainty. You know, for example, the Transportation Improvement Fund transfer that was in there and reviewed in August. We talked about that further. It's not necessary at this point. There's an article that's outstanding there for it. We put it in there, it's going to tell people there's a transfer that's going to happen. It's going to confuse people. So we'll do our best, like we did in June, where we put it into the description, and again, we continue to refer people to those descriptions as a way to be well informed. When the presentation's done at the warrant article hearing, we'll put it on the website. But I think the commentary is overlooking how much work has gone in to provide additional information to people beyond what was already being provided. So, thank you.
Also, just one
Scoot
quick
up.
question, and I should know this because like this is year 6 of doing this, or how many, but by the time we have the public hearing, right, which would probably be the 29th, that second
29th,
one,
yep.
we usually have almost every single number except some like really one or two, usually just one for, that we do when we do that little powwow right before the town meeting.
Yep.
So also during, during the public hearing, all those numbers are also displayed.
Yes, yeah.
And again, I think it's very different than the first meeting I did, which it was much less information printed. It was kind of like just the bird's eye view, and then you got the explanation at town meeting, but you didn't get it in print. So. Yeah, I remembered.
Understood.
It's good. When we took
Just asking a further
12
comment?
meetings.
Yes, to sign the warrant article, I'd like to ask, and I brought this up to the attention of the town administrator, I'd like to ask for this board and our TA to separate the $2.6 million plus interest from the secondary school building project debt service, special purpose stabilization fund to pay down the ban for middle school, high school construction project out of Article 8 and into its own article.
So, you
And
know,
if, go ahead.
you know,
Yeah, I think if that, is there a reason that that can't be done?
do you, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, to the finance director?
The
Mr. Gilberto.
mechanism for us to be able to pay it down is to put it into debt service, into the debt service budget, to actually be able to, in essence, pay it off through debt. That's why it's done that way.
Didn't we already bond this project?
No, this is the short-term borrowing that we did. We still have an outstanding amount. So in order to pay that down, we've had a temporary issuance for 10 years, it'll be 10 years in May. After the third year, you have to make a pay down every year. So we're paying $196,000 down every year through an appropriation to debt service, the operating budget. So that's why this big pay down is being done through the operating budget to match that pay down process.
Is that typical in North Reading to go through the operating budget for a bond?
We typically don't pay down a ban, we usually go permanent, but we have the settlement money to use, so that's the mechanism.
Is there an opportunity to break this out?
I don't even know, to be candid with you. I mean, it's a, if we were authorizing borrowing for a project, I think it certainly would qualify for that, I could tell you that definitively. But we're talking about making a payment on an operating budget expense, a debt service payment. Again, as I indicated in our call earlier, it's just not something I can responsibly guide the board on.
Why would you want to break this one out separately from other? But this would be the normal course of action to do, as the finance director just put forth.
Yeah, I think, Mr. O'Leary, I think you're well aware of why I want to.
I'm not. I'm not.
You're right.
But, so,
I'm asking if there's a mechanism. Is there a way from these others? Is the answer I'm hearing no, and that's it?
Instead of focusing on the negative, I'll try to take us to the positive. So there's going to need to be a motion offered at town meeting with whatever actions need to happen. One thing we could do is break out the motion at that time separately. So again, that I defer to the board on that, but we could break that out separately so that one item is being voted independent of others. And we have done that in the past.
Yeah, but at that point, recommendations are already made at articles, right? So there's not much.
Generally, they are.
So you're concerned about, we can, as we're making recommendations this evening on the warrant articles, I'd be more than happy to break out the components of this article for recommendations, and if there's one segment of it that you're concerned about, then you can do whatever you need to do on that one there. Therefore, you'll be able to weigh in on all of the other items within this.
I can't.
Yeah, you can,
I
as
will
I
not.
call for the recommendations on each individual portion of it, and then a final, again, on the final recommendation, you can weigh in on all the other issues. You can weigh in on all the other issues, publicly and for the minutes, as to what you want to do.
Yeah, but
then-
under Article 8,
And-
it's the operating budget of the town.
And then under
And it's not
Article
gonna get a
8,
full
when it
vote.
comes to the final vote on the recommendation, you'll make whatever appropriate action you think you need to take. But you will have, for the record, spoken on each of the other individual portions of the operating budget that you're in favor of, concerned, or opposed.
I'm just really confused. Can someone enlighten me what the problem is on this?
Sure.
Thank you.
There is an apparent conflict, which I disagree with. There is an apparent conflict of interest with myself and my employer and the middle high school project. So, if this is captured under Amendment Article 8, I have to recuse myself from the operating budget. And as a selectman, that is one of our main duties, is to manage the operating budget, and I have to recuse myself.
You don't have to. You can opine on
I understand
everything
what I
except
need
for
to
the
do.
one issue.
I understand what I need to do personally, but for you to lump all these together takes me
This
right
is-
out of this vote.
That's not, but yeah.
That's fine.
You
I have
can-
my own
You can,
marching orders.
you can opine on everything else and then recuse yourself on that one issue. That's all, on that one thing. So I
Oh,
mean,
but-
if there's certain things in the
but
operating
Mr.
budget that we're
O'Leary-
amending, if you don't want to do that, that's
Mr. O'Leary,
fine.
the motion is for Article 8. It's not for a portion of Article 8. So when you go into, when packets are mailed out, it's gonna say 301, or I guess I'm just
302.
confused a little bit with Mr. Wallen here. That's an unfortunate position that you're putting me in.
I didn't put you in.
I know you didn't put me in it, but I'm just saying that to have it under the operating budget really kind of,
But and again, explanation can be given. That's right. Mr.
Hold
Stone,
on,
yeah.
I'm trying to figure something out. By the way, I'm not trying to jam, I'm trying to figure this out. This is just a refinance,
always.
lack of a better way to put it, correct? So I don't think this has anything to do with what you were just alluding to. I'm not an attorney, so I can't say it, but again, this is just for a refinance of debt for a project that's, you and I weren't even legally, I couldn't even drink when this thing started. Okay, maybe I could, what year was that? But anyway. Okay. Yeah, thank you for explaining why,
Yeah.
okay, at least I get that.
He knew the whole time. He just asked to play dumb.
I did.
Which, it's just fine. I know. But either way, let's vote on the article. Let's vote on signing it.
Again, you can vote to sign the warrant, and then when it comes to the recommendations, we can allow for the discussion to reflect your opinion on everything but the one that you feel that you should recuse yourself on, that's all. And then it's there on the record, and then an explanation can be given at town meeting if someone asks or cares.
Yep.
But you're doing the right thing, which is good.
Yep.
So, any other questions, comments regarding the warrant article as presented by the town administrator for our signatures for the October 6th town meeting? Hearing none, okay. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to sign the October 6, 2025 fall annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Mrs. Morris, seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Nay? Okay. Okay. So, 3 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 absent. And the town administrator is just going to print it up for us to sign, and Doug, you can witness this.
Not bad.
Guessed wrong again, huh? as far as timing.
Not bad. There was one time where it was really late.
By the way, you guys did leave out one option for central and whatnot. You can do a tunnel, you don't have to go up.
A tunnel.
You don't have to dig
Wow.
down.
It's gonna
You
turn to the
want to
big
go
dig.
over and make a bridge.
Turn to the big dig in North Reading,
Yeah.
$100 million just to like get people to pay attention.
Where's the off-ramp gonna be on that bridge coming down? Who's gonna- Well, we just did
No,
reconfiguration of Euclid Park.
It's
Euclid Park,
instead of having it come down to where the two roads where Central meets, have it go over and then just dig down Central a little bit. And they'll never,
that's another hill to Central Street.
Why wrong? That doesn't sound cheap. At all. Overpasses and just, all I'm thinking is like support beams.
2 copies, all right.
Close North Street down, it's all over.
I say you just block it off.
That's it, turn into like, Ricardo there?
Just put a dead end coming from the north.
Today
coming
is
up from
the-
Andover.
9/3.
Could work, it could be at the intersection.
You can go out tomorrow. Post these tomorrow. Okay, bring that up. Perfect, thank you.
I'll take care of it.
I'll sign, bring them all in.
That's one, I believe. That's the other one. Yep.
Yes, 2 in each. 2 in each precinct.
What do you have in June? 34? Or 40?
Are you excited about those bridges? Put both of them out, it takes me
Oh, yeah, you're right.
all the way around.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You and Vincenzo could do the circle.
Oh, so my daughter, she's in college, in her home, he lives just on the other side of the interstate, so it used to take him 3 minutes.
I
to
voted
get
no.
to his house.
Out to Main Street or even into Reading to go.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Sign his copy for you guys.
Doug, where's your daughter in college?
We had 31 last time.
Or Gulf Coast.
Oh, nice.
I was just saying, what's that,
In June, we had 31.
where is that?
There were,
For March,
Oh, my, okay.
but you get, some homes parent online.
Yeah,
this one should be,
expensive hat though, isn't
You
it?
guys gotta
Huh?
get, oh, yeah.
Expensive hat. Yeah.
Is there more than one North Reading kid down there?
Yes, Tanner.
10. That does.
the last 2 years, if you take
Yeah, awesome, that's great for them.
the MBTA discussions out,
You may not need to use that.
shave about 2-3 hours off the town meetings.
Hit in the census
not more.
of 15.
It wasn't
By
much.
the law, you guys are entitled for one more alcohol license on off-premise. For over 15,000, until it's over 5,000.
Yeah, we have one right now, it's available. There's one
Yeah.
off premise, yeah, that's it. So, and I think that's where it came
But
from.
you think we may be entitled one more because we hit the,
The alcohol.
Yeah.
It's every 5,000 for off-premise. And we're over 15,000.
That's a parents organization, we get in there, yell at everybody for a little while.
Without using the.
They could use some.
I think board.
Mall.
mhm.
Just throwing it out there. It's out there.
Just don't need money.
Yep. Right, thank you.
But that also impacts the other three.
That's like
Right.
easy.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks,
Thank
Doug.
you.
All right, Continuing on, recommendations, warrant articles.
Mr. Chairman, through you, as I've done in the past, I just highlighted my suggestion to the board with regard to these. So Article 1, hear and act on reports. I don't know what those reports are going to be, but I'd ask the board to consider recommending the article.
Mrs. Moran, you have a,
Yes, Mr. Chair,
Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 1, hear and act on reports of town officers and committees.
Second?
motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous.
Article 2 for prior year bills, again, not knowing what those bills might be at this point in time, we're recommending that the board vote to recommend a town meeting.
Okay, Mrs. Moran,
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the town meeting Article 2, prior year bills.
Second?
motion made and seconded. Buck up, guys. Seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous.
Article 3, creating special projects, creating a special purpose stabilization fund. Based upon the discussion that we had and the explanation I offered, I would actually ask the board to vote to recommend at town meeting this article.
Can I ask a question on this one? Wasn't there like 1.9 million in ARPA that went to free cash?
That was the money for the downtown project that we would use, but there was other funds that were earmarked but weren't able to be expended within the requisite timeline, so it's now becoming free cash.
To the tune of 3.5 million?
So it's 3.4, 3.5?
3.5.
3.5.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So again, we thought that consensus of the board was to segregate those funds into a special stabilization fund. We're just trying to come up with the right terminology to make it work, rather than it having blended in with everything else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember Mr. Wallner and I were recommending that too. I think that's
Right.
That's great.
Right, so, but until we get the language down appropriately, recommendation is to make a recommendation at town meeting. Mrs. Moran, you have that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the town meeting Article 3, create and transfer funds to special projects, special purpose stabilization fund.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous.
Article 4, again, we're expecting that we will not be making a transfer, but at this point, I ask the board to vote to recommend at town meeting the article.
Okay, so motion to recommend at town meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend at town meeting Article 4, fiscal year 2026, appropriate the transfer funds to stabilization fund.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous.
Article 5, transferring funds to the Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund. This is part of our annual financial plan, and I would ask the board to vote to recommend the article.
Mrs. Moran.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 5, fiscal year 2026, appropriate the transfer funds to Capital Improvement Stabilization Fund.
Second?
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Massey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous.
For Article 6, transferring funds to the Solid Waste Stabilization Fund. Since the motions were prepared, we've identified the dollar amount at approximately $11,000. So I would ask the board to vote to recommend the article.
Mrs. Moran.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 6, fiscal year 2026, appropriate the transfer funds to Solid Waste Stabilization Fund.
Motion made. Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Mr. Massey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous.
Article 7 would be transferred to the PFA fund. Again, we don't customarily have that dollar amount available at this point in the process. We don't usually know it until the end of September. Despite that, I think that we're all used to the mechanism at this point, and I would ask the board to vote to recommend the article.
Mrs. Moran.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 7, fiscal year 2026, appropriate the transfer funds to participating funds encouragement fund.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 8. Mr. Massey, if you'd like, we'll go through each one and make a recommendation for the minutes on each one of the amendments, so that you can weigh in on those, and then on that one, you can take the appropriate, which feels appropriate.
Yeah, see, that's, so votes that go in the minutes
What's
is
that?
not what goes into residents' hands and what is shown at town meeting. So I'm not going to take that approach, Mr.
Could
O'Leary.
I make a
Yeah,
suggestion, again, just in the interest of trying to meet all parties where the concerns are? It would not be atypical for us to have the board vote to recommend it at town meeting and to not make a favorable recommendation at this point. And that is for the very reason that there's a likelihood that these numbers are gonna change. I don't know whether that satisfies the concern.
That was going to be my plan B. I was going to amend anyway, so
So
that works.
we have it presented to recommend at town meeting rather than to recommend the article. It's unique, but it's not, I shouldn't say, it's not that unique to do it this way. This is an instance where we're talking about the dollar amounts a lot earlier, but as I've said every time we've talked about them, they're very much fluid at this point. The funding sources, and again, the free cash doesn't get certified, we're in a totally different circumstance. So perhaps a vote to recommend at town meeting is clean and go in the warrant with the board's, consensus. Below that, separate from the article itself, I could put in the description what we're anticipating. But again, there's no recommendation being made at this point. I don't know whether that satisfies the concern, Mr. Massey, but if it does, it might be a way. And it will also allow us to highlight on town meeting floor separate votes on recommendations, if that's what the board wants to do. Right, so for the different transactions that have to happen under the article, you could vote them separately and report them separately. Does that make sense, Ms. Williams?
Doesn't matter, whatever the will of the board is as far as the recommendation at this point, if we want to wait to make the recommendation at town meeting and then determine whether we want to do it all at once later or take them separately, we can do that.
I'm open to Mr.
Yeah,
Gilberto's
that's
idea.
fine.
And not to
Yep.
prolong the agony, but I also don't know how I'm gonna report it in the warrant if we start doing separate votes. It's gonna
I
become
know,
very
that's-
cumbersome,
It's
so,
difficult, so
yeah.
I wouldn't, okay.
I'm fine with the recommended town meeting.
Okay. Mrs. Moran, you all set with that? Okay, then entertain a motion for recommendation at town meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend at town meeting Article 8, amend fiscal year 2026 operating budget.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Studo. Okay, I guess that postpones your issue. That's fine. Any further discussion on the motion before us? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Article 66, the revolving fund, I would ask the board to vote to recommend the article.
Article 9, Chapter 66.
Article, did I say?
Yeah.
Article 9, Chapter 66, thank you.
Mrs. Moran.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 9, amend Code, Chapter 66, Finance, add Veterans Revolving Fund, and establish dollar amount for Veterans Revolving Fund.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Massey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 10.
Rescinding authorization to borrow, I'd ask the board to vote to recommend at town meeting.
Mrs. Moran.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend at town meeting Article 10, rescind authorization to borrow.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 11.
Amending the capital budget, we have a couple of projects that we talked about. I expect there will be a meeting of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee to review them and provide you a recommendation as well. And I would ask the board to vote to recommend at town meeting this article.
Mrs. Moran.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend at town meeting Article 11, amend fiscal year 2026 capital budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those
Yes.
Yes, okay, Mr. Massey.
Mr. Chair, through you, is there any opportunity to go through emergency procurement for the library elevator?
There is, and it's something that the DPW is pursuing for the project. I think what we ran into is the lack of sufficient available funding to do the project. So we get the funding in place, which will, based on the amount, require a town meeting vote. We expect to have the ability to go through an emergency procurement to expedite things. But and I think, Maureen, did Todd get a letter back authorizing? I think he did. I think we actually got the approval from the Division of Capital Asset Management. Maintenance
Nice.
needs to approve it. The problem is we don't have the funding in place to do it. Even tallying up all of the old town building repair, it's just not enough funding to do it. So we need a town meeting vote. But we do have that blanket.
In the 535 for paving, isn't that something, Concord Street, North Street, Lowell Road, is this something that we accepted last town meeting?
I believe what was reported to by the Capital Improvement Planning Committee was that there was funding for North Street, but not for Concord Street. In practicality, what we're running into is the North Street project is a much more complicated project, now including the sidewalk situation down here. So I think that's why I wrote it in that fashion. We're going to talk about that with the Capital Improvement Planning Committee, but I think it's going to make sense to flip those projects and get Concord Street done under an existing contract that's already been procured faster, because this is going to take much more work and time.
Thank you.
So I think I wrote it that way because I know that's what DPW is going to propose.
Any further discussion? Article 11, recommendations? No? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 12.
So I wrote in there recommending the article, but I actually would suggest to the board where there's such a variance that's going to happen depending upon what the temporary ramp costs us. When we replenish the funds, that we may want to recommend a town meeting the article. In one scenario, it's $12,000, in another, it's more than 50. So
It's a swing. You were going to report on that in your town administrator's report?
I am,
Yeah, so. So, motion recommended town meeting, Article 12.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the town meeting, Article 12, fiscal year 2026, fund town building repairs.
Second.
Second by Mr. Massey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 13.
Article 13, again sponsored by the school committee, appropriating funding for the modular replacements. I think there's a lot of moving parts with this article, and I don't see any other option but to recommend a town meeting the article until we know more. And it may be a candidate for being passed over come town meeting night. We're not sure at this point.
Okay. Mrs. Marr.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the town meeting, Article 13, appropriate money for continued planning and/or construction of modular replacements at the Cleveland Middle School District.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Nay. And just to give a little explanation why I'm saying nay, all my board members were included in my email response to the school about this project, so I recommend you read that. In my opinion, I don't think that they know the cost, so I think this is a little too early. So if necessary, I will be willing to speak to why I vote no at town meeting.
Fair enough. The motion before us was just to make a recommendation at town meeting, not in favor or opposed to this yet. So, it's fine, I mean, I know what your position is, but that doesn't mean, motion before us was to make a recommendation at town meeting, not yea or nay.
I guess with that,
Huh?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make an amendment, recommend passing over Article 13. And no second, shocker.
No,
Good.
wait, no, second, wait, kidding me? Yeah, no, wait, that's why I'm confused, seconding what? He's just making them, did we even take the final?
Well,
You just changed it.
I paused, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No, I paused.
So you just changed his vote?
I didn't declare the vote yet. It was three in favor, and then there was a nay, and I said, trying to explain that whether you're in favor or opposed of the article the motion before us is to make our recommendation as a board at town meeting, not this evening.
So I didn't think you required an amendment. We just changed his vote because we didn't close the vote yet, correct?
Yeah, so, again, the motion that's on the floor is to make a recommendation at town meeting,
That's what we said.
and you wanted, you know.
And I made an amendment, Mr. Chair, to move to recommend passing over.
All right, so let me just declare this 3 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 absent, to make a recommendation at town meeting. You can make a motion to reconsider the recommendation, motion to reconsider, and then get a second. Motion to reconsider, and then make a motion. If that's favorable, then we can vote on a new motion of to either pass over or not recommend, but
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to
reconsider.
Article 13.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion before us to reconsider Article 13, which is to appropriate money to continue to sign a recommendation for Article 13. All right. On the motion to reconsider, is there any further discussion?
Yes,
This is on the motion to reconsider.
yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, there appears to be some issues with this process. I have asked the schools to provide me any and all documentation of this project. They gave me any and all. They gave me hundreds and hundreds of pages of content. I read over every single one. The funding request here is for $4.6 million, which has changed from 4.3. Nonetheless, right around there. There is no estimate, no document from any hired professional consultant that lists us at $4.6 million. There is a 2.9 recommendation by our hired consultants to replace the trailers in kind, but not for a permanent structure. There is no recommendation from our hiring consultants.
Point of order,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
So,
I seconded a motion to reconsider us talking about what you just said at town meeting, not for you to tell me about it now. This to reconsider, this is what, Mr. Massey, to
So
listen
if
to
you-
your
if you-
explanation at town meeting.
if you want to tie it in, Nick, the thing is just saying, you believe that there's sufficient information to warrant passing it over altogether now, and therefore you would ask us to reconsider our recommendation at this point. Not necessarily getting into all the machinations that you have.
So,
We're not,
What are we
we're not going to discuss the merits of the passing over until we conclude with, are we going to
reconsider?
reconsider?
Sorry about that.
It's okay. So the motion to reconsider, is there any further discussion on the motion to reconsider? Hearing none. All those in favor of reconsideration, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Can you just clarify why we would reconsider it?
So he can vote.
So I can make a motion to not.
So if the motion to reconsider is successful, Mrs. Moore, then it will come, the discussion of whether we're going to recommend it, not recommend it, or recommend a town meeting, will come back for discussion again. We think that's, well, I mean,
Well, that's pretty much it.
so that's all that comes up. I'm not, I'm going to vote no on the motion to reconsider because I think with the MSBA's coming to town on the 24th, there'll be more information to be gleaned, to be offered. And again, this whole thing may be passed over anyway. So,
Well,
but-
you'll never hear the explanation unless you vote yes. So you don't want to hear my explanation is exactly why
I'll
you're
hear
going
it
to
at the
vote no.
appropriate time.
Oh,
Again, we have public hearing.
this
We have a
is the
public hearing on
appropriate time.
20th. No, this is, the appropriate time is the recommendation. If you don't want to recommend it,
But
you
Mr.
vote
Chair,
no.
we're voting as a board. I'm asking my
voting
board
as
to
a board.
consider my opinion on the issue.
No.
How can you listen to my opinion on the issue for an
You had the
educated vote?
You had the
if you can't
opportunity
listen.
when we had the initial motion to recommend a town meeting or not recommend. That was the appropriate time to say, I don't think I want to
Whatever
make a
you-
recommendation at town meeting.
Whatever you want to do.
I,
You're the
that's all it
boss.
is. So, The motion before us is reconsideration. Again, those in favor of reconsideration, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No. Motion
Shocker.
fails.
Shocker.
The motion fails.
Shocker.
Tie. So, Article 14. And again, there'll be plenty of opportunity to talk
No, don't
about
worry,
the
your
merits
bias
of it.
showed. Don't worry, your bias shows. It's okay.
Pardon me?
No, your bias showed a little bit.
What bias? The
No, I know.
bias is,
It's
there's an
okay.
appropriate time.
No,
The
That's
29th,
okay.
we're going to have a
That's all
public
good,
hearing on
Mr.
it.
O'Leary. Don't
If you
worry
don't want to
about it.
discuss it then, don't discuss it then.
We've seen you in action. Don't worry.
Seen the what?
Let's move along.
Yeah. Hey.
You don't want any other opinions.
I do want other opinions.
Okay?
This isn't the opinion on whether or not we should pass it or not pass it. I haven't got sufficient information to make a recommendation to town meeting on the article. There's going to be more information to be provided, and there may not be enough information for us to even make a recommendation at that particular time. So you provide yourself an opportunity to make the recommendation at town meeting. You don't just vote no without all the information. And by the way, the only information that we're going to get is from you?
Well, no, there's all those studies that were in the email.
Your email.
Yeah.
I didn't see a response from the superintendent or the business manager or anybody else. Your opinion. Which, again, I weigh heavily, that's fine. But again, I
Based
need
on
information
fact.
from, I need information from the source of the people who are sponsoring the article, which is the school committee. Do you think they deserve the opportunity to present their rationale for doing it, or do you want to hear from them? I know you have your opinion.
I'd love for them to. Mr. O'Leary,
Okay,
you have
that's
no
fine.
idea how much I would love for them to sit here
They
and
will.
explain their project.
They will,
But they haven't.
they will.
Instead, they're requesting millions of dollars, and we're like,
They're not requesting the millions of dollars yet.
but thank God you got
Not
me to do
yet.
some research and bring some light to you, so.
Yeah,
I know you
Again,
appreciate it.
The school committee has
I
the
got you.
opportunity
I
to
got
make
you.
their presentation to
I
us
can help you.
at the public hearing, and you don't want to hear them.
Yeah,
You've already come to your
I don't
conclusions.
want to hear it.
So anyway,
You're funny.
anyway.
You're so funny.
Article 14, appropriate funds for Martin's Pond maintenance and treatment.
Recommend that the board vote to recommend the article.
Mrs. Moran, do you have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 14, appropriate funds for Martin's Pond maintenance and treatment.
Second.
And seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 15.
Recommend the board vote to recommend the article.
Mrs. Moran, the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 15, appropriate funds for substance abuse treatment, mitigation, and prevention.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Massey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 16.
Based upon what I expect would need to be additional discussion, I would recommend the board vote to recommend at town meeting this article.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend at town meeting Article 16, appropriate funds for continued facilities planning.
Second.
Any further discussion on Article 16? The recommendation. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 17.
Just to clarify that article. Are we closing the facilities master plan committee?
It has nothing to do with the article.
It does have to do with the article, Mr. O'Leary. It has to do with every single town building that we just went through that was just presented to you about an hour ago. So it does have to do with the facilities master plan committee. The question is continued funding for facilities planning. So my question is, are we cutting the cord with our designer? Are we closing the committee and plucking out whatever we want to do when we have this funding just in case to use it?
I
if
would
we need to?
respond by saying that we've accepted the report of the Facilities Master Plan Committee. They've completed their task. They've given us their report. We appreciated their
That's literally,
efforts, and so the answer is...
that's
yeah,
literally not an
it's-
answer. That is
It
literally,
depends on what we do
I
with
just
the
asked,
money.
what are we doing? You're like, yeah, we accepted a report earlier.
Their work
I'm
is
like,
complete.
what does that have to?
Their work is complete.
And you're getting ready to propose more funding for continued. So while you say we just completed
But
and
that would be
accepted,
for
you're
speci-
also
that would be-
saying,
that would be for
we want more
specific-
funding.
I would anticipate that the continued facilities planning would be for specific projects, which would take on a different venue.
Which may,
Which
Mr.
again,
Mr.
would
Stino.
we be closing out the committee?
Which is
Separating.
depending on what the project is, it would have a whole separate committee
Could.
created, depending on the size of it.
Right.
So it would not, that from just, this hasn't happened in my tenure, but, if there was a bigger project, then it would be probably like, citizen outreach and like a bigger committee.
Right, but it would be project-specific as opposed to broad projects, facilities master plan. And the appropriations for this would be continued facilities planning. Facilities can be one or more.
Is a fair answer to Mr. Massey that there may be a facilities planning committee for a specific project that just looks different than the current form?
I would say so.
That's a good answer.
I would say so.
That's an answer.
Say so.
Squirrel finds a nut
Wow.
once in a while.
I get direction, that was good. Thank you.
All right, where are we at? Article 17.
The vote was closed on that one? Yes.
What's that?
The vote got closed on that one, yeah.
We already did that?
You did? No,
No.
on 16.
60.
We do, okay.
Yeah, we voted on it. Yeah, the questions are coming after you vote.
Just,
Article 17, appropriate funds to evaluate and procure lease space for Elder Services Senior Center.
Second?
Oh,
Oh,
need a
jeez.
motion.
so,
Let's get out of here.
Okay, a recommendation first from the town administrator.
So I provided it to the board with a recommendation to recommend it at town meeting, thinking along the lines of the last article that we were going to hear a report from the Facilities Master Plan Committee. It may be that the board is ready to commit to asking the town to fund this, and if it feels that it is, it could vote to recommend this article tonight. I didn't want to jump the proverbial gun with a recommendation, because there's a lot of cost with it that we haven't really, we don't even have, never mind have we discussed, but if you kind of felt like, look, in either scenario, we want the town to pursue leasing, what I assume would be expanded space for the senior center. If you feel that that's the case, you could vote to recommend it tonight.
What additional information do you think we're going to have between now and October town meeting that we're going to have now?
I envisioned some more interaction with third-party firms, so a consultant or a vendor that would help us with developing an RFP to just nail down a quote for how much it'll cost us, and then just a broad understanding of what a price per square foot might be based upon what the need was in the facilities master plan. Those are it's the only things I could envision we could add to the conversation. And as what I can tell you is I know that the second piece of information will surpass our available funds for fiscal year '27, so, that I can virtually assure everybody.
And again, you gave us a $15,000 to $30,000 range as a best guess.
Yeah, as an
But-
estimate, someone to kind of take the programming work that's already been done and work it into an RFP for leasing space. So really just someone helping us through procurement, nothing more.
And you don't believe that your consultation with some people between now and October 6th will result in a request in excess of that?
It could. I don't want to short sell it. It could.
Personally, I'm in favor of looking at this option, because no matter what we're going to be doing, if it's a new facility, renovating the current facility, we need to do something. It's going to be years away to do it. In the meantime, we have programming needs, and our ability to meet those programming needs are being hindered because of the lack of space. And right now, we're dividing people all over town in different spots to do it. So that I think it probably might make some sense to lease some space and get ourselves geared up and operating to either remain in the lease space or into new or renovated space at a future date, and just get us thinking on programming-wise, what we need to do, what we should be doing, and then what we can afford to do. I'm not sure how much it's gonna cost us,
I don't
and whether or
even,
not town meeting wants to do that yet.
I don't understand this article too much. Talking about procure lease space, so we're giving the senior center, let's just call it $30,000 to find space to rent. Right?
I think through you, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
they would be a party to it for sure, but I don't, I'm not sure the capacity is there from a staffing standpoint to be able to
Yeah.
procure their own space. It would be a larger endeavor that would involve other departments or boards or committees, perhaps a standalone committee, that would be taking the information in the facilities master plan report, working it into a request for proposals, going to the market, much as we had a firm do when we were selling the Berry property, the former Berry property, and try to identify spaces that we might be able to lease space on.
Yeah,
That's again-
So what is 30,
It's gonna cost
what
us
is
a lot more than
$30,000?
$30,000 to rent space.
Yeah, what does $30,000 buy us?
No, it buys us
It gets
the
you proposals
resources,
to lease space.
it gets us the resources to request proposals after we identify what we really need from a programming standpoint. You know, we need 9,000 square feet, we need 5,000 square feet, 10,000 square feet. What do we need, first of all? So it's gonna get us the resources to determine what we need. And then, how do we put together a request for proposals to go out, see
We're
what's
gonna pay
available?
$30,000
And then we'll
for that.
find out how much it's gonna cost us. And
You
the
don't
move,
think-
and the build out and all the rest that goes with it. I mean, you're talking a lot.
You don't think the senior center has an idea of how many more space they need? You think we need $30,000 to find that out?
I don't, through you, Mr. Chairman, the intent was never to try to identify the need. That's in the facilities master plan. I think we would just pick that up and say, which of these options are we looking to lease? Because we've already done the effort to identify the programming need. We heard it tonight. So this is only to take us through the procurement process, and to get a vote of town meeting behind this too. I mean, you know, if we could do this for free, I'm not sure it would be good to do without town meeting weighing in on it, especially given the implication on the budget for next year.
I don't understand. The article right before that was continued facilities master plan. Okay, facilities planning. The next one
It's specific.
still has to do with senior center. Both senior center.
It's specific for leasing of space as opposed to new facilities or renovations.
Right, so we're looking for space for senior center to grow, to use space.
Today.
Yeah,
Now.
today.
As opposed to waiting for a new facility or something to be renovated.
So the $9,800 was the request. That's separate.
That's
That's up in Article 8.
That's right.
my
That's an
favorite
Article
article.
8. Yeah.
And this one is to procure, is to put it out for procurement of leasing. We,
Someone has to write out their fee, and then memorize it.
why can't we just find space and rent it?
But we have to, I expect we would be paid above the minimum procurement level that would require a solicitation of proposals to lease under state law. So we have to competitively solicit it.
And then depending upon the space, you'd have to evaluate.
You could
look
do
at
short term.
in the short term, but what's the
What?
leasehold improvements are gonna have to be made to,
So there's a way to
Retrofit
get
it.
creative with it, but
what's that?
I said there's a way to get creative with it. And at the COA meeting a couple weeks ago, great recommendation was brought up. I think it stemmed from you, Mr. O'Leary, which I think is a great recommendation to check in on Damon Tavern, right across the street. The senior center needs some expanded programming. I think cleaning that property up for the temporary use of programming is free.
I think if that's something you wanted to pursue, you could do it under the prior article, Article
Yeah,
16, facilities management. If that's
Nothing's
what you
off,
wanna do.
nothing's off the
Again,
table, but,
I worry that
but we're
that's-
talking about, I mean,
That's what I'm
what's
getting at, is
available
the
for
wording
space
of
in
these
the, no, what's
articles are all
available
the
for
same.
space in the Damon Tavern is very,
I know it is, it's gotta be cleaned up.
Emmett can't have.
Offices, anything, I mean, you know what I'm talking
No,
about. You get
The
it.
cardio drummers can't do their thing there, you haven't got enough room, there's not enough space there. So, it's not just a little office space that you need, it's more. But anyway, so the question is, do we want to have a separate article right now to put before town meeting to highlight the concerns that we have here, and what needs to be done and addressed, and to evaluate, to lease some space going forward, or not?
Mr. Chairman,
Go
to
ahead.
clarify, the article's on the warrant, it's already been signed. The question is, do we want to recommend it right now, or do we need to hold off on recommending it? Until some
Well,
point.
the recommendation is recommend the town meeting, right?
Well, that,
That's
that's
what
an
I
option.
proposed. That's what I proposed.
unless,
Figuring that
unless the
this is-
board collectively right now says, you know, we want to move forward in this process, get this thing moving, or not. If not, make a recommendation to the town meeting, and if we decide to pass it over, we pass it over. If we
I
decide to,
recommend doing it at the town meeting just because I don't know where Article 16 is gonna go after we talk about it for the next couple of meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
because then if Article 16 kind of encompasses what we would do with Article 17, then there's no point of like voting 17.
right. So that's why the recommendation was to recommend a town meeting. But one of the reasons, but also, we haven't got enough, we don't know. So, motion before us, Mrs. Moore, would be, motion to recommend town
Recommend
meeting.
the town meeting. Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the town meeting, Article 17, appropriate funds to evaluate and/or procure leased space for elder services in senior center.
Second.
On the motion, to recommend a town meeting, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 18,
It's the conversion of wine and malt beverage licenses to all alcoholic beverages licenses. It's adopt a lot of that to happen. I would ask the board to vote to recommend the article.
to what, recommend?
Recommend.
Mrs. Moran,
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 18, accept MGL Chapter 138, Section 12D, conversion of wine and malt beverage licenses to all alcoholic beverage
Second.
licenses.
motion made and seconded, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 19,
I would ask the board to vote to recommend the article.
Mrs. Moran,
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 19, authorize select board to accept land for sidewalk at 239 North Street, map 14, lot 10.
Second.
motion made and seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion?
Yes, real
Yep.
quick, sorry, I don't mean to belabor the night. This is the sidewalk strip between the new Benevento building and Town Hall.
This is the strip.
Right, front of the
The
Benevent.
land is actually right in front of the
In
Benevent.
front of Benevent, in front of
It's
Benevent.
currently private property. I believe there was a condition of the site plan that called for it to be turned into a sidewalk.
Is there any concern with the way this is worded that says inland at 239 North Street, map 14, lot 10, for general municipal purposes, including blah, 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 construction of property blah? There is no, I guess what I'm saying, is there any risk on the new owners of that property by the way this is worded?
I don't know enough about the approval that required it, so there certainly could be. I don't want to say that there isn't.
Because map 14, lot 10 is that property. So if you're not calling out specifically, it says including without limitation. So it's almost like including but not limited to. I would just consider taking a look at what those owners might consider.
If you're not certain you want to proceed, you could recommend it at town meeting.
Again, this was part of their site plan review when they,
There was something
Yeah.
that I thought, my understanding was they were required to construct this sidewalk as part of approval to develop at the property. So they're going to create what will be a private sidewalk that at the moment doesn't connect to anything. We were looking to say, well, we'll build additional sidewalk when we reconstruct North Street, and we'll will acquire your land with this sidewalk on it and make it part of the public way. Which, if I were them, I would assume I would want to have happen, rather than have people walking on a private sidewalk. But again, I wasn't close to the approval when it happened. But this has been lingering out there for 6-8 months now at this point. And town meeting action is what would be required to actually take the property off their hands once the sidewalk is constructed. Again, only in front of their property.
And again, if there's an impediment, we don't have to follow through on it.
Yeah, this is simply,
This
giving
is
you
authorization to do it, doesn't mean we're going to do it or have to do it.
You may decide, you may hear from them and say, we don't want you to do it for X, Y, or Z reasons, and they're okay, we're not gonna do it. That's ultimately a select board decision.
Gives us authorization, doesn't necessarily require us to do so. So if there are other impediments in the way, we don't have to. So, what are the wishes of the board? The motion to recommend, right?
Yes, I recommend.
Mrs. Moore, a motion to recommend, please, and then we'll vote.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 19, authorize select board to accept land for sidewalk at 239 North Street, map 14, lot 10.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to recommend a town meeting. And if I can have the floor for a second, I think just might be imperative to run it by town council to see if there's any way to word it to take the risk off the owner of this property.
This has been run by town council.
Yeah, they actually modified the wording into what you see before. It's standard property acquisition language that we use, that they recommend we use.
Because technically, map 14, lot 10 is that property. If the town votes to accept it,
No.
the town can ultimately at any point take over that property.
No, it's to acquire interest for a sidewalk. It's not the entire parcel. It's for the sidewalk, for a sidewalk.
For sidewalk at 239 Main Street.
It's not the entire property.
But map 14, lot 10 specifically is that,
Right.
is that property.
Correct. And we're looking to acquire a portion of that property for a sidewalk. It's not the entire parcel.
It's all right. You'll never take my word anyways. That's fine. Let's just vote.
You have a motion to amend, to recommend a town meeting. Is there a second to that motion to amend? Hearing none. The main motion before us is to recommend Article 19 at town meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
3 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 absent. Article 20, amend zoning bylaws, floodplain district.
My recommendation would be to vote to recommend the article.
Mrs. Moran, we have a motion to recommend Article 20.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend Article 20, amend code zoning bylaw floodplain district.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion on recommendation for Article 20? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Next order of business, appointments. What do we got? Capital Improvement Planning Committee. Who is it?
No, we have one more article.
Oh, so,
Article
do we?
21.
I'm sorry. What is the?
That one was, we didn't, but no, we did talk about it being taken off. It was taken off.
Oh, taken off, 21.
Article 21 was
The
taken
RTA
off.
article was taken off.
Yep.
Thank you, though.
Yep, thank you. Let's see. Okay. We have appointments. Capital Improvement Planning Committee. Mrs. Marr.
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for the appointment to the Capital Improvement Planning Committee for terms to expire on June 30th, 2026. Michael Connolly, Assistant Superintendent of Schools for Finance and Operations, Lorianne Galvin, Finance Director, Michael Gilberto, Town Administrator, Abigail Holbert, Finance Committee Representative, and Donald Kelleher, Finance Committee Representative.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Morris, seconded by Mr. Studo. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, any consideration on throwing me on this committee?
There are already 2 liaisons from the board on the committee.
No thought to replace? You know,
No.
I know you took a liaison assignment away from me recently, that the board didn't vote on. And also the Facilities Master Plan Committee ending. I just figured, I believe I'm doing a good job of my liaison assignments. I certainly report on them every single meeting. And I think this would be a very valuable one for the town. The town would benefit from it. Any thought to that, Mr. O'Leary?
The thoughts are, we already have,
my position, so you're gonna have to ask Mr. Wallner when he gets back.
yeah,
Well, Mr. Wallner's not on it, so.
Mr. Wallner is on it.
Mr. Wallner is on.
No, it's you and,
No.
No,
it's Mr. Wallner?
Mr. Wallner and Mr. Studo. Right. So if we had 3 members, that would constitute a quorum.
Is it
So-
a roll call, Mr. O'Leary?
So we can do a roll call vote on these. So, motion before us, nominated Michael Conley, Lorianne Galvin, Michael Gilberto, Abigail Herbert, Donald Kelleher. Motion made by Mrs. Moran and seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Massey? Roll call vote.
I'm trying to bring up the names. I think a couple of these guys might have them up.
Mr. Studo?
Michael Conley, Lorianne Galvin, Michael Gilberto, Abigail Herbert, Donald Kelleher.
Mrs. Moran?
Michael Connolly, Lorianne Galvin, Michael Gilberto,
Page
Abigail
16.
Holbert, Donald Kelleher.
No, okay.
Michael Conley, Lorianne Galvin, Michael Gilberto, Abigail Herbert, and Donald Kelleher.
The chair votes Michael Conley, Lorianne Galvin, Michael Gilberto, Abigail Herbert, and Donald Kelleher. Okay. Transportation Committee, representative of the Community Planning Commission. Again, the Community Planning Commission has forwarded the name for Warren Pierce for appointment. The recommendation of the Planning Commission is Mr. Pierce. Mrs. Moran?
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for the appointment to the Transportation Committee for terms to expire on March 12th, 2028. Warren Pierce, Community Planning Commission.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Massey. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Massey?
Warren Pierce?
Mr. Studo?
Warren Pierce.
Mrs. Moran?
Warren Pierce.
And the chair votes Warren Pierce. I think it's March 12th.
I think that was the date that it was created.
That it was created?
Originally, yeah.
It's weird.
That's my suspicion.
Okay, yeah. I want to check into that, John. I will modify it at some point. That's an odd date. Meeting minutes. Let's see. Regular session minutes for August 18th. Mrs. Moran.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the regular session minutes for the August 18th, 2025 meeting.
Second.
For the motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. One more. Mrs. Moran.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Is there a second? Oh, what else?
The TA report.
Oh, I'm
Your
sorry,
TA
TA report.
report.
I was trying to let you off the hook here. I apologize. I'm looking at the motions rather than the agenda.
No problem. Thank you.
You sure you want to give it?
I did a couple things I think people should hear.
Okay, all right.
First is, as Mr. Studo indicated, the Board of Appeals will continue its hearing on the 20 Elm Street 40B on Thursday, September 11th at 6 PM. That meeting will be held in the Distance Learning Lab at North Reading High School. As Mr. Studo indicated, we have received the more detailed application from the developer, and it's been posted online on the community planning pages for the 20 Elm Street project. So anyone who's interested certainly would urge you to take a look. As I previously discussed with the board, new federal flood insurance rate maps took effect July 8th. Conservation and Planning mailed to approximately 1,000 homeowners a notice that their property is coming into the flood zone, being removed from the flood zone, or that the boundary may have moved within their property. We've been receiving follow-up questions and are assisting to the extent possible. Some impacted residents have or will receive notices from their mortgage company that they need to purchase flood insurance. There's a page on the town website located in the Community Planning Department with information. It also includes an option to file for a letter of map amendment, or LOMA, for your property, which does generally require hiring an engineer. And we included additional information provided by the federal government on that page as well. So just bringing this up again because I think people are starting to hear from their mortgage companies.
That's a lot of properties that have switched.
Yeah, and again, could be in, could be out, could be
Well, you're right
within.
on the river too, yes.
So, again, more and more folks are going to be hearing about this, and we're just trying to urge that there are resources that are out there that, all along, if you look back at the history of changes made by the federal government, they're made almost every year. So it's not as if these things, they don't happen. If you apply for a map amendment, and you have a justification, you may stand a chance at seeing an adjustment made. The DPW, in consultation with the building inspector and the Commission on Disabilities, submitted a request for a variance from state regulations to allow Flint Memorial Library to remain open while repairs are made to the elevator. The variance would include for a temporary ramp to be constructed in the front of the building to provide access to the main floor. I attached a copy of the letter that we submitted in a little layout. I think when I spoke last with the board on August 18th, we were talking about a permanent structure that we would need to purchase. With this variance, we think we'll be able to rent something for the short-term period, which would be, I think, a better solution for the community, and we're optimistic that we'll get a favorable response. Finally, the division heads and I have been discussing a handful of position vacancies that have arisen during the course of the fiscal year. Ordinarily, they would be filled during the course of the year. I would like to review these at the next meeting prior to moving forward, particularly given the anticipated pressures we're going to have on the fiscal year 2027 budget. I did have a conversation with the chairman, and I think possibly having something on for some discussion with some recommendations might be helpful for all. So, and that's all. Thank you.
Now, Mrs. Barr.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.